Name game. Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. It is I, Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and it's Mac Game Thursdays, where we play the video games, and we are playing today Mutazione. This will be our third session, and Mutazione was the 2020 Independent Game Festival's winner for excellence in audio, and this is an audio award-winning game. I don't feel like we've really hit the amazing audio yet, but I suspect it's coming, or the excellence in audio yet, but I suspect it's coming because there's this whole sort of garden thing that involves sound, so I feel like they're teasing us for this. But that's what we're doing today. And hi, how is everyone here? We're doing it, okay. Uh, Mark and Ann with their 30th anniversary on Tuesday. Oh, I'll have to go and give them my well wishes. I'll have to message them. Rissa, don't let me forget. Don't let me forget to message them after this game. Hey, everyone. How's it going? How is it? We're gonna game today, but I have a couple of things to tell you before I start. Uh, what things do I want to tell you? Many things, but we're gonna hop into the game really quickly and then just sort of chat while we play. But I do want to tell you two big logistical things. One, I'm doing two giveaways today because I've got a code that expires on the 3rd of October and I want to give it away, and I want to pick up one of the other ones that will expire sometime in the nearer future. So do not let me forget that I'm going to do a giveaway around the halfway mark. Um, I'm glad to hear you're doing good, Lone Ku. So that's the one thing. Don't let me forget these. I'm going to do two giveaways today. We've got to catch up on our giveaways. I've got so many free codes. That's the first one. The second one is I have run out of groceries and I ordered groceries, and they're supposed to arrive sometime between 8:14 and 9:30. So if they show up while we're still streaming, I'm going to put us on break for a second while I grab the groceries, bring them down here. Anything that's frozen, just put that in the fridge, and then I'll come back. I wanted to get them to arrive later, but I could not. And this way, once I get out of stream, I can make dinner for the next couple of days. If you want to know what I'm going to make pulled pork in my Instant Pot because that just involves putting a rub on the meat, uh, sauteing it in the Instant Pot, and then just putting it in the Instant Pot for an hour or something like that. And then I can just ignore it and it'll be done when it's done. And so I'm going to be having pulled pork with barbecue sauce on those, those really nice Hawaiian sweet rolls. So I'm going to have that and corn. And when I make it, I'll have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days worth of dinner. So, which will be good considering what's coming in the next couple of, pardon me, what's coming in the next couple of days, which, I want to chat with you about. So, what's coming in the next couple of days? Everything. Everything is happening in the next couple of days, and I thought I should tell you about it. So, um, I know I always tell you what's going to happen next, right, at the end, but I need to tell you now. Tomorrow is the end of our three shot of the Chronicle of Horizon Seat, and PB Plays Inside and Prax have their focus rounds next tomorrow, and that will end our three shot. Now, of course, the thing about Microscope is you could just keep playing it for a while. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would, I would love actually one of these days to do a full 12 session, like a 12 session, one season campaign of Microscope, because as you can see right now, we spent the one session um, setting up everything, and it looks like we're going to be spending 2 sessions to get through one full round of everybody being the focus person. And from there, I mean, that's only one full round. If we had more time, we could do multiple rounds. You know what I mean? And then we could like, who knows what sort of story we could come up with. I almost always see Microscope played online as a one shot. Really want to see it with like 10 or 12, something much longer so you can really deepen in that world and really, really, because I would be so fascinated to see what a microscope board looks like when you've really given yourself time to play it for over an extended period of time. I mean, look, I'm happy that we get 3 sessions. That is already making me overjoyed, but, I really would like to see it, for a longer go around when you just keep going around and you keep going deeper and deeper and adding, and I think that that dynamic would be really, really interesting, and, yeah, that is something that I really want to do. You know what I'm saying to you all? That's what I'm saying. I don't know when that will happen, but it will at some point, just so you know. Hey Schmelzer, wie geht's? I love that I have my German speakers who hang out with me because, uh, you know, I miss Germany. I miss the Christkindlesmarkt and the gebrannte Mandeln and the Kässpätzle and the Schupfnudeln, the Engelspunsch und Glühwein und auch, ich vermisse unter Kneipen und Bistro und deutsche Fernsehen und auch deutsche Radio und weiß ich nicht, eigentlich misse ich meine deutsche Kumpels und weiß ich nicht, einfach Straßenbahn und auch einfach leben ein bisschen und auch ich vermisse auch so eine andere Sprache zu sprechen. Es ist, so eine Fähigkeit mit so eine 2. oder dritte Sprache, äh, zweiten eine zweite Sprache. So eine zweite Sprache, das ist irgendwie, weiß ich nicht, es fühlt sich gut aus, irgendwie zu wissen, dass man eine zweite Sprache sprechen kann und auch irgendwie, dass wenn man in einer anderen Sprache spricht, dann gibt es auch irgendwie so eine andere Art zu denken oder Welt zu sehen. Es gibt eine andere Perspektive der Welt und, mei, ich glaube, das ist gesundlich gesund? Gesund. Ja, ich weiß nicht, wie das was ich sagen hier will. Ich muss sagen, ich glaube, das ist eine wichtige Ausbildung für einen Mensch, eine zweite Sprache zu sprechen und es auch zu sprechen. Weil ich glaube, dass die Sprachen sind irgendwie eine Art zu sehen, der Welt zu sehen. Und, und es ist wichtig, so verschiedene Perspektive von der Welt regelmäßig zu sehen. So, eigentlich einfach nur, ich vermisse es, ist da, weil Deutschland anders ist als die Staaten und eine andere so eine Weltanschauung hat. Und das finde ich ganz wichtig. Einfach das mich zu erinnern. So, wissen Sie dann, was ich meine? Also, ich werde das jetzt übersetzen. I'm gonna translate now what I was saying. Um, yes. So what I was saying, hello, werewolf. Uh, Rissa's German is quite good, is what I want to say. Rissa's German is quite good. Rissa, snaps to you. I was just saying that I was saying that I miss Germany, right? And I was saying that I miss the food, the various bits of food, and I miss um, the Christmas markets where you have like great food, and I miss the street cars, and like I was just saying that I was missing Germany, but then I said actually I also miss speaking German, and it's not just that I miss speaking German. It's like I was talking about how I was thinking that it's really important to be able to speak another language, not because just because, but because speaking another language, like a language is an insight into a culture and a worldview. And learning another language is really important to um, broaden your own worldview, right? Like you don't know what biases and norms you have until you go somewhere else. and I really valued learning German, but not only just knowing it in the background, but also speaking it regularly. It regularly puts you in a different worldview. It reminds you that there are different ways of seeing the world, because I think you can think about a language as a way to see the world. And I miss regularly being reminded of these other worldviews that you get when you speak actively speak another language. And so I was just saying that I miss that. And I also just, I miss living in Germany and experiencing another worldview, because Germany is not like the United States. No place is like the same place. And I mean, I will say, even within the United States, moving from one place to the next gives you another worldview as well. And I miss that because I think it's healthy and it's good to be exposed. It's like, you know what they say? It's like a fish doesn't know what wet is, right? Because it's just their norm. And if something is your norm and you've never seen a contrast, you can't see it. It becomes invisible to you. And there's so many things about one's life that become invisible to you, and you will never know it, or you will never be able to see it until you get a different perspective. And I find that speaking another language can give you a different perspective, living in a different place can give you another perspective, all sorts of things can. And I just really appreciate the immense amount of growth and change and perspective I had living in South Korea, living in Germany. And I miss those things. And also I love Dr. Pepper, Max. Uh, Werewolf says, I don't know, Trooper. Maybe we're all somehow both individual in our points of view and also completely objective. Yes, that's right, Werewolf. That's exactly right. We are both of those things somehow all the time. And it's one of those things where I can't remember which languages, but maybe it's Vietnamese actually. Maybe it's not Vietnamese. Maybe it's Khmer. Mm. But there are a couple of languages that just don't have gendered pronouns, right? We're in the middle of this moment where everybody's arguing about pronouns and whether or not you should use them or not use them, and wanting to make it illegal to use pronouns, which is weird because I and you are also pronouns, but whatever. Um, but there are languages that just don't have gendered pronouns at all. And what is it like? What is the perspective you gain when you speak a language that doesn't have gendered pronouns? What does that do? Right? That doesn't mean that those places don't have gender, obviously, but that's different, right? That's just a different way of thinking about things. I also think about how German has uh, words, like they gender words in a way that we don't exactly in English, at least not anymore, right? We have the moon, the car, the apple, apple, but in German it's der Apfel, uh, das Mädchen, oder die Sonne, right? And so words can either be feminine, masculine, or neutral. And Spanish is masculine and feminine. They don't have a neutral for how they gender their nouns, but in German they gender their nouns. And I think it's really interesting that, right, in how the gendering of those nouns in German are often different than the gendering of nouns in some other languages, or even even in English, some of our sort of like, we've like accumulated random unspoken gendered ideas about nouns sometimes, even if we don't have them officially. Rissa says DEI is all about bringing those things you might not be seeing because you are the norm into the spotlight. Absolutely. Werewolf says, we all know, of course, a table is feminine. Is it? I don't know. Tables seem feminine, but they might really secretly be masculine. Tables, I mean, tables, obviously. I don't know. But what is Tafel, right? Is it Tafel in German? Yeah, Tafel. I think it's die Tafel. Tafel? Tafelmusik. Tafel. Oh, okay. So I have to admit something to you. It's actually kind of important. So as some of you know, I learned my German in Bavaria, and I learned my German predominantly not through school or classes, but just through speaking it on the streets. And So here's the problem with that. So the problem with learning I mean, I also did take German classes when I went to college much later after living in Germany for 5 years. But oh, Tisch is a table, yes, but Tafel is Tafelmusik. That must be an older term. That's das. So I'm sorry. In German, Tisch is neutral. There you go. That's our life. Der Tisch. Huh. Der Tisch, not das Tisch? Hmm. Der Tisch. No, you're right. Der Tisch. Der Tisch. Yeah, a girl is neutral. Uh, which is inherently beneficial as it helps you notice loopholes or mistakes. Unfortunately, people who love taking advantage of that kind of thing will object horribly to DI based on that presence. Absolutely. I should mention that my gendered language of choice is, in fact, French. La table. Okay, so we're gonna get into the game, but I want to bring this up because I think it's so fascinating, right? Um, what I think is fascinating about the thing about what is his name? He's a famous composer who people who are into like classical music scholars, like classical music snobs, don't like him. They think he's boring, but he was super, super popular. And I went and I saw a concert of his. Uh, hold on. I will tell you. Give me a second. Oops. Telemon. Uh, Telemon, by the way. So Telemon was this composer, really, really popular in his day. And uh, I feel like you all, I'm sure I've told you this before, but maybe I didn't. Um, so there are biases in music history. That is a thing that is true. And side note, this is one of the reasons why I find it so odd that some people go on and on about how like academia is liberal, and I was like, I don't think you understand that what liberal means is actually very different within academia. There are a lot of ways in which academia can be very conservative. It just has nothing to do with like who's voting for whom in electoral politics. Anyhow, so Telemon was 1680s to 1760s. So he's a contemporary of Bach. And he's also one of those people that is part of that transition of the Baroque era of music to the classical era of music. And he was very, very famous, very, very famous. But he was also German. Well, Germany didn't exist at the time, so you know what I mean. Part of the German lands. Tabula is Latin, I should say. Tabula is where the French and thus the English get table. And it means plank. Old English turns that into tabule, meaning a slab where we get tablet from. So topple probably is a small root. Yes, right? So Telemon was huge, really popular, but and he wrote so much music. He wrote like a gazillion pieces of music. And the thing is, musicology or music history, which was sort of again founded by Germans, which is why it tends to be German composers tend to be overrepresented, sort of focused on genius, was like sort of like the kind of the weird fixation, and also in a way that is very similar to like rock weird rock bias, like the rebels versus the people they thought were boring or normies or too popular. Like if you were too popular, then you weren't cool. So there's that whole kind of like we don't like the popular stuff that happens in amongst your high school teenagers that also happened uh, in music history. Although there's a weird thing where either there was a big bias against not only the super popular people, especially if they were not German, and also people who were too niche. Like you had to go somewhere in the middle. You had to go with geniuses. Anyhow, so Telemann is a contemporary and a rival of Bach, and German music historians sort of obsess with Bach, and they think that he's the big genius, and they sort of ignore Telemann for being a little bit too popular, I guess, or just not revolutionary. Whatever they've got a thing. Anyhow, he did a whole bunch of music called Tafelmusik, and the Tafelmusik was this thing that he made, and it was a whole bunch of compositions. Um, and he made them in the 1730s. and it was music that was meant to accompany banquets. And so I think topple would be table, but they use Tishna. But anyway, so it was music that was made to play at feasts and banquets. You say Pablo, and all I can think of is Falco's Amadeus. Well, yes. Okay, I'm writing of last night's game, Nice, which ended up all fruitless investigation and getting kicked out of the county by the local sheriff. So I'll be in and out. Nice. Sounds like they did some excitement. So he made all of this tafel music. So because I think it's really important to remember, this is like where we get. Sorry, this is where we get some of the sort of tensions, right? That is the Enlightenment era and post, we've all inherited this sort of Enlightenment romantic idea of the genius artist. The artist is genius. The artist who only composes from their inner inspiration. If they're not inspired, they cannot create this kind of thing, right? That thing, the auteur, the genius, the all of that. Um, but that just isn't how art has been for the most part. For the most part, artists either were not paid at all because they just didn't do art professionally. In a way, we're all enlightened. Not always a good thing. Not always a good thing. Not always a good thing. Come for the video game, stay for the German musicology discussions. I know, but I'm going to wrap it up real fast. But uh, so we have inherited this idea that like you have to suffer, right? If you suffer, you're a better artist, and you have to be inspired. All of this sort of stuff. But that's really a classical romantic view of the artist, which people, I see you all. But before then, if most people either were just not professional musicians or artists at all, like you could not like. There are people who are like, I think that I should be able to make a full-time living doing YouTube, and I was like, yeah, because if we didn't live in capitalism, we could all do that. I was like, yeah, but before capitalism, no one could do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, some people could, but generally not many people, uh, because there was no industry for that. You just would work in the field and also you would sing, right? You know what I mean? Like there were not really professionals. And when there were professionals, which did happen, those people were sponsored by they had patrons, and those patrons were either the church or a noble, right? And so they did what they were told to do, which was to make art for this noble or for the church on a schedule. It wasn't like there was no the idea that you had to wait until you were inspired is silly because it was a job, right? And you also that you did what you wanted to do and you spoke your inner truth also was silly because it was a job. You were told you did what your patron told you to do. If your patron did not like what you did, they fired you and then you were homeless. You had to please your patron. That's just how it was. And there are definitely RPG. Yeah, I do a video game. So most of your earlier painters, all those great artists, they're doing uh what's that word? What's the word? Co- um when you pay commissions. Thank you. I just lost that word for a second. All those things that we think of as great works, they're commissions. They were told to do it, whether they like to do it or not, and then they did it. And somebody like Bach had to make a new cantata every Sunday for church. Like they just pumped out all this music because that was their job or this art. And we try to then say somehow that that wasn't the case because we want to elevate people into this kind of the fantasy of art that we have right now, which is I'll come back to film music. So anyway, Telemon, one of the things that you had to do if you were a composer who gets commissions, right, who has a patron, is that nobles always had banquets and feasts. Also, so did churches, but like nobles would always have these banquets and feasts. And why did you like? Oh gosh, they didn't just have composers on retainer; they also uh, had musicians right on retainer. So you'd be a musician for the court of so and so, right? And they would have all these dinners and banquets. And what they wanted was because they did not have radios, right? They wanted music during their banquets. And so if you're one of their composers, your job was going to be, if you were a court composer for the Duke of Ferrara or whatever, one of your jobs would be to compose music for dinner all the time and lots of it, right? You'd have to just make a lot of dinner music or Tafelmusik. And Telemann made lots and lots of Tafelmusik because that was what he was commissioned to do. And he did a whole bunch of it. And uh, let's see. There are definitely RPGs. Every now and again, Trooper gets to enjoy a video game. Mhm. Laura says, until you get to the random loot encumbrance, that's the part I enjoy the most. Rissa says, Dickens was paid by the word. Art has always been driven on some level by a desire to eat. Absolutely. And the thing is, for a long time, art was seen as not so dissimilar from being a blacksmith, right? It was a craft that you did, and then you did it on order. So anyway, the Tafelmusik, I'm getting there. The Tafelmusik, he did quite a lot of it, and people who are like musicologists like to poo-poo Telemann, being like, "Oh, his stuff is so boring, it's not revolutionary." Like, where's the Sturm und Drang? Where's like the loud explosions that like is like pushing the form, and if you're like, ah, right, and so they think he sucks. But not like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony would not really be appropriate for dinner. He made music that was appropriate for dinner, and what's interesting to me is that I think there's a lot of music or art that you may not get it unless you are in the context of it. So what I mean by that is I've heard people make, those people who are like, music back in the day, in my day, i.e., the 1960s, was so great and genius. Look at Bob Dylan, but look at music now. Music now is just so terrible. There was like a study. Which side of the line do pieces that use cannons fall? Depends on who composed it. Could be genius. Could be genius. Um, and so, right. There was an article that came out that was pointing out how music from the past was good and music from now is bad. And the reason why music from the past was good is because it used a whole lot of vocabulary and different words, whereas music from now only uses like 5 words, and so music for now is bad and not well done. Whereas music from then, and that's the 60s, was good and well done. But what they did was they compared Bob Dylan, a bunch of like folk artists, uh, and later Beatles, not early Beatles, to dance music of today. And uh, that is just a bad comparison because dance music rarely has a lot of words because that is kind of not the point. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like comparing Around the World by Daft Punk, which has basically 3 words, to Hurricane by Bob Dylan is just not a fair comparison. Also, Maggie has joined the stream. Woo! Yay, Maggie. Hey, Maggie. And there was a lot of music in the past that also didn't have a lot of words. Dance music from the 60s also didn't have a lot of words. And there are music from today that has lots of different words and a wide vocabulary. But anyway, so it was an unfair comparison. But point being that Tafelmusik, that if you don't like, the point of dance music is that I don't think you can really appreciate dance music, especially dance music that's like 20 minutes long with very few lyrics, that is meant to like, it's meant to be danced to. And to really understand what that music is doing, you kind of need to dance to it, right? You might think, oh, all of that is boring because it all has the same kind of basic beat. And you're like, well, because you have to dance to it, right? So I often find that there's sometimes people will poo-poo a music because they don't take the context into account. And I went to a concert of Telemann's Tafelmusik, and the concert was all on historical instruments, including like a harpsichord and original tuning, which makes a lot of the switches between keys really weird sounding because that's what happens when you use um, original tuning systems. Not that we have a different tuning system now that makes everything sound the same, right? In our tuning system, all the keys sound the same, but if you go back to, because we cheated. Yeah, we are listening to stuff that is we're the equal temperament system. Try to be really fast here. So there are 12 notes, right, in our scale. We could have more notes than that or fewer notes, but we have 12. Other places have more and different. And because it was really important to us during the Enlightenment, during the Industrial Revolution, it became really important to us to be able to transpose keys, to go from the key of G to the key of C to the key of F minor and have it all sound the same and be able to do that all in one instrument without retuning. We basically cheated all of the intervals to make them exactly the same, which is actually not how they would be in nature. So all of our intervals are a little bit, they're not what we call pure. They're a little bit off. They're a little bit like some are a little bit flat, some are a little bit sharp, but we've gotten used to it. But that means that if I go from C to B flat, it sounds the same. But that is not the case before we decided to come up with equal temperament in the 18th century. Before then, we were using just intonation or these different kind of intonation things where you would set an instrument for one key, right? Like it would be made to be played in the key of C. And if you play in the key of C, you're going to get um, harmonies and chords and intervals that are purer and sweeter than anything that we have heard recently, unless you listen to people who work on just intonation. And you can do it with like voice, and you can do it with things that are not fixed. Uh, is this in part why piano cannot be tuned for the entire range of the piano? Uh, well, our current pianos are tuned right so that everything fits, but it all fits in a way that we are used to it, but we lose a lot. You always lose something in standardization. Yes, that's what happens, right? Whether it be the jaunty layout or impure intervals, absolutely, right? This is what happens, right? That we have, um, and I understand why they did it, but it's standardization. We standardized all the intervals, which is not how it should be. So the fundamental, right? The fundamental interval is the octave. So if you take a string, this is a Pythagoras. If you take a string and you pluck it, it'll make a sound. If you and this is what Pythagoras came up with. Take a string, he made an instrument called a monochord, which is one string. It's like a guitar, but with one string. And you know how a guitar has the bridge, right? The bridge where the string sort of goes from the bridge to the nut, and that's those two parts will give you the the length of the string. Well, the monochord he has this movable bridge. Part of the piano tuning issue is 12 without a power of 2. Yes, right. So basically on Simple Deuce, we've just basically cheated. We made an artificial scale that will work for us, but it's not what you would get in nature, right? So he created this movable bridge so you could put a bridge anywhere along the end of the string. And what he realized is that if you take a string and you put the bridge directly in the center, boop, right? So let's say this string is vibrating at 440 hertz a second. That's going to be what we call an A. If you put the bridge exactly in the middle of that, so the string is cut in half, you get a different note, and that note is the octave, right? So it's another A, but an A higher. And he did all of the ratios. If you do a third of the string is what we call a fifth, and a quarter of the strings we call a fourth, and you can like get from all these sort of like mathematical fractions, you get the notes in our scale, more or less. Zanzibar says, I listened to a bunch of King Gizzard and they use a ton of microtone stuff. Oh, microtone stuff is so... Okay, so Zanzibar, because it's the thing, if you keep going in your intervals, you're going to get microtones. We just stopped, for our system, we stopped at a certain point. So we're not getting the microtones. We basically stop at, so we go octave, fifth, fourth, third, second, and that's basically as like a half step and a half step. That's basically as far as we go, but you could go farther and get microtones that are all part of the same that are in nature, right? So here's the thing. If there's something we call overtones, I'm telling you this because I just feel like you need to know. There's something called overtones. And an overtone is if I hit the note C, boop, especially if it's a very rich sort of sound. If I hit the note C, you're probably not hearing just C because the other frequencies are in that one note, right? So the C itself also has the octave C, and it also has the fifth, which is G, also has the fourth, which is an F. It goes all the way up, right? So all of those notes are in that one note. If you're tuning your instrument for pure intonation, right? For pure temperament, what you do is you start with the C, and then you get the next C comes from that one, and you get the notes from the frequencies that are in C itself. So they're pure, right? Now, why does this matter? Because you probably have never heard anyone playing with this sound. You might have. Sometimes they do it in like barbershop when they do singing. But if you set up your instrument, let me be more specific. If you have an instrument that has frets or that has keys like a piano, that kind of a thing, or harpsichord where the things are fixed, or holes, right? Anything where everything is fixed like that, you originally would build it. Hey, Hawkeye, I just mentioned barbershop, by the way. When you build it for one particular key, right? You're like, okay, this is going to be a C flute or a C this or a C that. And you build it so that each of the notes, each of the sort of the subsequent notes in that scale are keyed to the ground fundamental note. So if it's C, then everything's gonna be ground off of C. And if you play in C, it's going to sound great. It's going to sound in a way that you probably have never actually heard. It's just kind of pure sound. And now, so they would originally tune the harpsichord to be in C or G, one of those, right? Now, from C, you can remember it's the harpsichord is tuned to play in C. If you play in C, the harpsichord sounds great, or the early fortepianos, whatever. Now, there are keys that are very close to C, and this is where the circle of fifths comes in. But uh, a fifth, the fifth of C is a G, the fourth of C is an F. So those are, if there's a, hold on, hold on, of fifths, fifths. Da 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 ba da ba. I'm here. I'm going to go here for a second. Oop, that's not what I want. I want this. Then I want this. And then I want, let's see. Oop. And then let me, this. Oh, that's too slow. I don't want that. Can I make this bigger? Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me see if I can find a better version of this for you. Give me a second. It'll make it easier to visualize. Let's see how big this will go. You know, I always want, you know what? It's fine. Let me open in a new tab. This looks great. And then let me do this. And then, whoop, great. And then I can just do this. Great. Okay, so let me turn that down. So here's the circle of fifths, right? So you can see my cursor. So that's C right there. And if you notice if you go clockwise, that's a fifth above, which C, D, E, F, G, 5, right? That's all. And if you go anti-clockwise, it's a fourth, C, D, E, F. And the three main chords in any kind of key are going to be C, F, G. This is how this works. So if you're like, I want to play in the key of C, what are the three chords I play? You play C, F, and G. Anyhow, about tuning. If you tune your instrument to sound good in C based off of the frequencies of C, you can also play in G and it will sound pretty decent. You can play in F and it'll sound pretty decent. D will be okay, but I mean, some things will be a little bit off because it's not tuned to play in D. B flat, again, it'll be okay, but the further you get away from C, the weirder it's going to sound. So F sharp or G sharp is going to sound bad, basically, right? It's going to sound not good is what's going to happen there because it's not tuned to play in that key. So let me get back over here since we just looked at that. Great. Boop. So, and there was a phrase which they call the wolf, the wonderful world of harmonics. Yes. To tune a different tonal scale, assume you select a center frequency and divide the ranges. Yes. Into equidistant intervals and just label it. Yes, that's exactly right. Right. So back then, if you're going to do that kind of in that kind of like just intonation, that's what you do. If you wanted to play in F sharp, you would start with F sharp as your fundamental, and then tune everything to those. You divide the ranges, right, and then you'd get the whole scale. So that's exactly right. So what would happen is back in the day, you'd have your harpsichord out and you'd be playing something in C, and you'd play it, and you'd play basically only songs, only pieces in C, F, and G for the most part. And if you had something that was in a really different key, you just retune the harpsichord. So you would have to retune the harpsichord so you could play in that other for that other note to be the bass frequency. That would be its bass, and you'd have to retune it. So anytime you want to do something that was like really out there, you would just have to retune the instrument every single time to to be on that other with that other fundamental. If you didn't, there was something they would call the wolf. And the wolf was that one interval that's going to sound like a real clunker. And if the more you go away from that fundamental bass, the more that wolf is out there waiting for you. Harpsichord. I say in Lurch voice. Yes. So there are two things to note about this. One is this does mean that if I create a piece of music using just intonation and it's in the key of C and I modulate to G, G is going to sound different than C will, and F will sound different than C will. And what would happen is that harpsichord composers, people who are composing in this style, they knew that, and then they would do that. They would use that as a on purpose, right? They were like, okay, this key's in C, and then we're going to go somewhere that actually is really a little bit different, so it's going to sound a little bit weird and strange, and they use that on purpose, so that a lot of the Tafelmusik that I was telling on, right? People now are like, oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. But actually, if you were in this earlier tuning system, it wasn't actually that boring because when you modulate to different keys, they'd have these very different flavors. But also, you didn't want to be too exciting because you were eating dinner, right? So I went to this concert where they were using original tuning and they gave us all food. So it was this concert where we all ate food and we were eating food and listening to the music, and it was really amazing. It was awesome, actually. It was really, really cool because there was something about like having being in context made it really work really well. Peter and the Wolf has a new meaning. It does. Now, here's what's really interesting, and one more thing that's really fascinating. So you know Bach, right? All of our Bach inventions. You know your Bach, right? And the thing about Bach, which is really fascinating, is that Bach is like one of these people like Telemann that transitions from the earlier tuning systems to the equal temperament. Is there any software where you can simulate the original tuning paradigm? Yes, there is. There is. I have to go and find it, but there absolutely is. And I know that there are because that's what people in synth are like, ooh, let's do that, right? And so there is. I've got to find some of it for you, but I know that there are ways to do it. But so here's the thing about Bach, which I think is really interesting. So you know Bach, right? And Bach is really popular with a lot of synthy stuff, and we tend to think of it as being mechanical and very mechanical, very machine-like. Do you know what I mean? Like very regular, like very rational, right? Standardized and rational, except that his original compositions were not for equal temperament. They were for this earlier temperament. So that when he was doing all this stuff that to when we play in our system sounds mechanical and rational, it actually did not sound so mechanical or rational in the original temperament because as he went through all the keys, they would start sounding more and more weird. So uh, but because people did not want to keep retuning everything, they standardized the tuning. So now on a piano, you can play in C or in G sharp or, and it will sound exactly the same. The character of the intervals will all sound the same because we've made it to sound that way. So you don't have to retune. But the point here is that it would have been different. And going all the way back to the whole point earlier is that sometimes you can't really appreciate something without its context, and being able to be put into different contexts, I find is really, really valuable. If you never sort of get out of the context that you grew up in, or that is the world you live in, you don't realize that, like, oh, that sounds totally different. And so I found there's such great value in going to different countries, going to different places, speaking a different language, because then you actually get to experience these different viewpoints that you would never ever hear. An unstable, I know you can do it in some of the weirdo things that I'm thinking of. And there are some people who actually really work hard to play, like who've been really wanting to get back to these other intonation systems because they're really interested in it. And I will see what I can find and I will post it. Well, that would be one of the benefits of an electronic keyboard then. To simply switch paradigms without requiring physical retuning. Yes. By the way, Unstable Dios, that is exactly the case. And there's something really cool about that with electronic keyboards, yes, or also MIDI stuff. Like with my MIDI pedal, I can change my tunings, right? I can have different setups so that when I'm playing the banjo, triggering MIDI things, I can actually just switch the bass tuning frequencies and have it. So there are people who've been really working on this because they want to get back to what the to get back to those sounds that you would get like in chant and earlier times, and see what that would sound like. And what is really cool about the sort of electronic stuff is that you can actually program in pure frequencies, and you can then swap when you want to, or not, right? And that's really cool. And so there have been, look, there's some very nerdy music people who really like math and engineering and just nerdy stuff, and they've been working on this for a while now, and there's a lot of people really interested in it. It is just not mainstream, you know what I mean? But that's okay. It doesn't have to be mainstream. It just it doesn't have to be mainstream, but it's out there in case you're interested, you know, which I am. Also, hey Mutazione, why are you giving me the beach ball? Giving me a beach ball right now. It's thinking. Yeah, so that was the log story about context and why I miss Germany. I mean, The Rite of Spring is probably my favorite classical piece of music. Oh, well, okay. For those who do not know, Unstable Dios put The Rite of Spring in quotation marks for classical because it actually isn't of the classical era. It is really late Romantic, early modern, which is awesome. And The Rite of Spring is amazing. And The Rite of Spring is, you know what? We're gonna have to come back over here because for some reason, Mutazione is thinking in a way that's a little sad. Hey, Mutazione, whoop, what are you doing? Where are you? What are you doing? You are not responding. We're gonna force quit it, and then we're gonna restart it because it clearly needs a moment. And so that's what we're gonna do. Because technically, right, the classical era is from 1750 to 1820. Is that about right? Is it? Is it 1820? Is that even true? Am I lying to you? 1750s when the classical era starts. Uh, I was right. I just looked it up and I was right. I feel very proud of myself for knowing off the top of my head exactly when that next part is. Now, you might think to yourself, why are you so proud of yourself? This is your job. Well, yeah, I know, except that I teach popular music studies, and there are some people who think that people who teach popular music don't know anything about Western art music and can't read music. So, like, it's up to me. Also, what's interesting about, um, by the way, under an hour. It took us less than an hour to get to the game. Gonna just point that out. Again, just pointing it out. In case anybody is wondering. Because people sometimes wonder. I got it. I got there. But the other thing is that Stravinsky's Russian, and the Russians don't actually use historically the same tuning system or the same scale, the same tonal system as the. I wonder if this is the way to go. What they use we call octatonicism, so it's a slightly different scale, which I think is very cool. I think. Hey, Prax, I was just thinking about you. There we go. We have to go and get this drum from no. We have to get a drum for our grandfather. So it uses a slightly different tuning system, which isn't the same as ours, which is cool. And open Prax. And this is very neat. They Unstable, I don't know if you've heard this, but Stravinsky wanted the opening of The Rite of Spring to sound chaotic and messy, but he knew that musicians are like really like sticklers for like playing what's on. Like he couldn't just tell musicians play this messy and like loose because they just wouldn't. Because classical musicians don't tend to be trained that way. So he wrote the beginning of The Rite of Spring to be impossible to play, to force the players to make errors. And when he first debuted it, of course, they couldn't play the opening, they made errors, and then of course, as they get where they need to be. And that was like really cool, and he was really happy about it. He was very excited for that. But the problem is that we now have a whole conservatory system where the whole point is to become perfect. And so now musicians at this point now can play the Rite of Spring, the opening of the Rite of Spring perfectly, even though that was not what um, he wanted. The musicians, they did hate it. They hated that very much. And now they can play it perfectly as written, which was not what he actually wanted. He wanted them to not play it perfectly. Uh, and when he asked them, they just wouldn't do it. Yeah. Um, the, oops, Krellin fell asleep. You know what? Sleeping is good, Krellin. Uh, and some of the audience, there were some riots. You want to pretend to be a common fiddler? Yeah. So, because he was like, I want it to sound like creation. So can you just not be perfect here? Yeah. And some of the audience, there were some riots here or there. Also with a breathe. Also, by the way, one of the things that made the audience riot was that there was a ballet associated with it as well. It was premiered for a ballet with Nijinsky, and Nijinsky did the choreographer for the ballet was very modern and not like traditional ballet. So there were riots actually during the premiere of the Rite of Spring, the ballet and the piece. People rioted. It was like a. What I'm trying to tell you is we like to pretend like classical music nowadays is like, here is the classical music. I'm gonna wait, hold on. But people, there have been riots. There have been riots, and people get very serious about this sort of thing. Oh, by the way, something needs my attention. Excuse me. I'm looking at uh, the pork shoulder that I am going to be eating. They did not have it, so they made a replacement, which I hope will be good. Um, I hope it'll be good. I hope it's not steaks. Anyway, breathe, breathe. I'll try and leave. What was this? Do you think I'm dead? Why are you disturbing my futile attempts at peace? Uh, no, no. Do not stop derailing the train, Unstable Deus. Grandpa wanted me to get something from his hut. Uh, did he? Did he now? Well, go on then. It's just there. Well, okay. Can I get by him? I can. I'm gonna just get by him. I feel like, ooh. Tick, tick. Okay, they have spears. Tick. Okay. Okay, I'm going. Yeah, we're not going that way, obviously. That's not the way to go, obviously. No goodness there. My goodness. Yeah, I really want to, we should hang out and do some just intonation stuff. That's something we should do. Oh, what is this? Ah, a dead bug. Huh. Rite of Spring, while not for everyone, like all music, I feel it's one of those pieces you should listen to understand in part the music of the 20th century. Maybe there's no TV reception in his house. You know, Unstable Deus, yes. Long and short is yes, I agree with you. That's the long and short of it. The longer version would be, on the one hand, I don't think anyone needs to do anything they don't want to do. Not going to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do. You can do whatever you want to do, right? Um, that said, I actually think that being exposed to more things is better than being exposed to fewer things, right? Like this is a kind of there's like it seems like a duality, but it's not, right? Because I've argued that I think it's okay if some like in the way that music history is taught, your traditional music history curriculum thinks that it would be a crime if people don't know Beethoven, but they don't need to know anything about any popular music or jazz that ever existed, or music that was made out of like about 4 countries. So I think that's not cool. And they're like, but we don't have time to teach everything, so we're just going to teach these things only, and those are the only things that are important. And I'm not about that. I think that a person could be like, I don't think you have to know Stairway to Heaven to be a rock band. I don't think you have to know the Beatles to be a rock band. I think you can be a rock band and have never heard those things. In the same way that I think that you can be a person who plays role-playing games and have never played D&D. I don't think you have to play D&D in order to play or even write role-playing games. I don't think you have to do that. I'm not a person that says that if you don't know Led Zeppelin, you're not real, or if you don't know Beethoven, you're not real. I don't think that. I think that there are legitimate ways to get to an interesting space that don't involve starting from the same spot that everyone else starts at. I think it's okay. That said, I do think that knowing more things is better than knowing fewer things. And so I think that it's great to know Beethoven or the Beatles or Led Zeppelin. It's great, but it's also great to know Duke Ellington and uh, all the stuff, right? Like I don't think that you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying that like the idea that we can that's the only thing that's important. I reject that, but I also think it's important to know as many things as possible. Boom. Uh, yes. In fact, most guitar centers would prefer you didn't know Stairway to Heaven to be in a rock band. Fair. I'm not real. 100% figment of my collective imaginations. What if that were true? What if none of you are real? What if I'm not even streaming? What if this is like what if I had a mental break during the tenure process uh, 9 years ago and none of this is real? Just saying. Is that why you disappear when I close my eyes? Yes. I'm always surprised at the number of first time reaction videos there are on YouTube. That's just contemporary stuff. Yeah, me too. But and I have questions about those React videos, but it's still I find them fascinating, right? So I think that it's good to know the rite of spring, right? Like I mean, like you don't have to, but I think that it's good. I think it's good. And if you're going to go and hear stuff, I think you should. That said, here's my that said. I think that context matters, and if someone were going to go and see the rite of spring, I would really like to have them see it live. Do you know what I mean? Like I would love for them to experience it live because I think that the rite of spring is so powerful. You kind of need to uh, feel it, you know? In the same way that I would really hope that somebody could like there's a lot of music that I really think people should probably experience live the first time. Um, because that's really what that genre is about. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Like that's what like you won't get the full experience if you don't experience it live. Let's grab this drum, shall we? Um, if I'm imagined, could y'all imagine with less neck pain and living in a more northern climate? Sure, I will do that. Why? Because I care. I mean, tenure can do that. I'm just saying it might have done it. Also, Pope, I have things to tell you later. I don't know when that later is, but you're in my mind. I love you. I love you too, Pope. I've let me give. Oh, Grandpa's sleeping. I'm gonna wake him gently. Uh, if you like, I'll put you in Antarctica. That's way too northern. I'd like to imagine with a modest lotto win that would allow me to retire now. That would be fine. That would be great. I don't think we. Hmm. Wakey, wakey. Uh, sorry, I must have dropped off. You have the drum? Wonderful. Well then, here's our project for today. We are going to grow a garden. This is where I think we're learning the whole thing, everybody. This is it. I will stay quiet. I'm aware that might not sound immediately thrilling, but believe me, this is no ordinary garden. A special shaman garden? In a way, yes. You know, it would be nice to live at a science station for a year. Okay, Pope just said that. I need to make a note of something. Hold on. Tales from the Foxhole. Uh, Tech? No. Current shows? No. Miscellaneous streams? No. Uh, where it's probably not under writing. Oh, it's here. This should actually not be a 0-1. This should be much taller. Let me see. Let's go with where did I put this? That's GURPS, that's summer 2025, which I've already done all of that. Uh Letters. All veterans. Let me just put this. Let me make a new one right here. Okay, made it. I just made my note. Thank you. Thank you very much. Note done. And now I have to get back to my here. Giveaway codes. Thanks. Done. Made a note about Pope. I agree, but getting a position to winter over at Ice Cube is difficult. Yes, this is all true. Just made my note. Yes, you see, I need something. Elephant fruit. At the Mountains of Madness. Well, someone just gave Tripper an idea. Well, here's the thing. I had the idea already, and I've been slowly percolating on it. I've got a bunch of things all maneuvering, which, I'll tell you about. Elephant fruit. It doesn't grow locally. It can only be cultivated. The thing. Why do you need it? The juice of the elephant fruit acts as a tonic. It will help sustain my recovery. You've got a dilemma, Krellin. If you have a dilemma, and it's not a trilemma, what is it? Maybe we can help. Mutazione, as you know, has a unique biome. You must learn about it. Pay careful attention to the composition of the garden. Ask for clarification. Why do you have to talk in riddles? I cannot tell you everything. This is a video game, but I will tell you how to begin. There is a way shown to me by Mani to speed up plant growth. That's why I asked you to fetch me the drum. I will ask a question. So it's a magic drum? The drum is normal, but when used in conjunction with a particular melody, it can speed up plant growth. You want me to sing to a garden? Wait, you want me to sing to a garden? I need to remind myself that this might seem quite peculiar to you. But you need to be brave enough to trust me, to do things that might sound unusual. Not equal temperament. I will be earnest. I'm sorry, I do want to help. There's a singing. Krellin says, I have to decide whether or not I want to play in a Dark Heresy game with a tech priest that is a one-man band, like the ridiculous kind with the drum on the back and the 10 instruments and hooks and wires. Oh, I love that. Some of you are the only good doggos. The werewolf says, we have Samoyed. Winter cannot come soon enough or stay long enough. I got distracted, but this is the dream. I'm a winter guy at heart. For some reason, I'm a lot less in pain around that time. Look, I'm a fall person. I love fall. I love that nice, cool but not cold, crisp weather. Sun is out, maybe some fog. Not freezing, but not hot or humid. I live in New England. All weather is evil, and there is no good season. Well, see, this is what I'm saying. All I'm saying. Oh, Pacific Prelude. I don't know what the song is. Whoa. What was that? A garden song. Okay, so Tripper likes a silly 40k. Good to know. No. Look, Krellin. I feel like you could do the one-man band in a serious, creepy way if you wanted to. Like, I feel like you could totally do it in a. I mean, wasn't that guy the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Wasn't he sort of like little weirdly musical? Like, you could do it if you wanted to in a serious way. You could do it in a way that was like grim. You could do one man band in a grim way. You could totally do it. Just creepy. It's not a serious creepy way. It's silly. Oh well, that works too. I have to describe myself as having reverse SAD. Temperatures over 85 are my kryptonite. Understandable. Hawkeye has only 2 seasons: snow cone season and orange cone season. I like both snow cones and orange cones. It alone does not make the plants grow. The drumming is what joins the circle between spirit, intent, and action. Oh, I nearly forgot. Here we go. What are we doing? Okay. It's a book. Oh, what is this? A packet of seeds, probably? Oh, elephant palm seed. Orange cones road work. Oh. Hawkeye, when you said orange cone, do you want to know what I imagine in my mind? Uh, you know those popsicles that are like vanilla on the cream, orange sickles, orange sickles, creamsicles, orange sickles. Like they're like an orange on the outside, but then like a vanilla on the inside. They're delicious. I think the point that might be missing is that Krellin is not playing this character. Oh, oh, oh. I don't remember when California added a fire season, but I did not consider that either. Creamsicles, thank you, Hawkeye. Creamsicles, they're delicious. Um, they've been having fire seasons even when I was a kid, though, in SoCal at least. Cliff shrub seed, Tillandsia seed. You will learn by doing. On the roof of this house, there is a small garden. I've seen it. These seeds will help you work out what the ideal composition for it is. And of course, you have the encyclopedia and Yoke to speak with. You want more seeds. There are many to be found out and about around Mutazione. Okay, let me repeat my instructions. Okay, plant the seeds and sing and drum. Come back later. Tell me about what you discover. So, I'm just checking to make sure nothing weird has happened with my order. I don't know what they did, but it looks like... I'm just checking because you have to check for these things. It looks like most of the things have not been shopped yet. They still got... I hope that this meat that I'm getting is going to be workable for me. I hate it when you get meat and then it is not... It doesn't make any sense. I think it'll work. I just think it won't be exactly the same, but I think it'll be fine. Okay. Well, we're going to have to figure out this garden, I guess, because I think this is like the bulk of the thing. Let's see. Rooftop garden, plant seeds, growth songs, and listens. Growth songs, Pacific. Nope, we're not going to play it yet. Listen. Okay, before we do anything, you know what we're going to do? We have like this. So we didn't do this before. So let's see. We need to go back and look at this. Mutazione. We looked at that. We looked at that. I should go see how Grandpa's doing. Grandpa looked awful. We ordered fresh sage 1 Thanksgiving and said they sent us canned corned beef. What is that? We're still unsure how those things were considered interchangeable. They're very similar. Grandpa looked awful. Ugh, what am I supposed to do? Maybe I should go check out this temple he was talking about, bringing back some flowers. Is it the temple out east? Maybe get some flowers or something? Birdman is real? I know this place is supposed to be weird, but I can't tell anyone, can I? Maybe Yoke would know something. I could ask him, like, how big birds get around here, or about that weird poem. We should talk to Yoke. Maybe Birdman says that I have to get something called a Dracina from outside the temple and give it to Grandpa. Okay, but at what point should I be totally freaking out that a creepy Birdman is, like, maybe real? And tell me to give people plants, which turns out are really dangerous or something? Grandpa has to sleep to let it work, so I don't get to find out if I've killed him until morning. Great job, Kai. Monday night. I said I'd call Mum tonight. She'll be back about now. Think there's a phone at the bar? I don't know why I ever expected Mum to be sad or whatever. She just sounded normal. I guess worried about me, but I think I'm fine. Except for maybe hallucinating a Birdman. Monday late night. Are those lights flickering over by the harbor? Someone still up? I have to keep an eye out for late night TV sessions. I don't want to miss the next episode of Tre Fontane. Super exhausted. Wow. Is all of yesterday real? That was our catch up from yesterday. So Tuesday. Why do old people get up so early? Weird how cagey Grandpa was when Maury showed up. Tuesday morning. Grandpa said to go to his hut and find his drum. Guess my morning is going to be all about seeds and things. I wish he would explain better why I have to do this. Okay, apparently I need to grow stuff in the garden on the roof. And I should also forage for seeds or something? Yes, this means I need quite a few different plants. I need to bring grandma some elephant fruit, which when I finish growing this garden. Okay, so before we do anything, look, I think we've got this flora book, right? And I think that if we look at it, we might be able to find out something about the elephant seeds. So I think that there's something, right? We want the elephant the elephant fruit, and I want to look this up in our thing. Uh, hey, I've got notes in here. Do I care about these notes? I do, but I'm not right now. Uh, I'm adding to this book. That's cool, but we're looking for Poroka. Stig beetles love to feed on the roots, which can cause the plant to die. Interesting. Okay, but we are looking elephant palm. When samians are active around the elephant palm, it's a good indication of the fruit being ripe. So I think this is what. Hey, Artie, hey. I've been thinking about you. You're gonna be mostly lurking. Thank you for saying hi. Hey, everybody. Okay, so check this out, right? We're checking it out. This is the elephant palm, and it's the bulbo berry tree. Habitat and cultivation, regular soil, forested areas, and we get the elephant fruit. If you notice, if you see in the upper right, remember we were like, what does that mean? It says P. I think that's the song you play. And there are two things in there. There's this one there are these two little seeds. I'm looking at them. I'm noticing, I think that must be regular soil and maybe forest. Then it says, a medium-sized palm tree with fronds growing from several smaller branches sprouting from the stem is evergreen and bears fruit, which only ripen during late autumn. The skin of the fruit is tart and the flesh fresh and sweet. Elephant fruit flesh has neuroprotective abilities. You know what I need to do? I'll tell you in a second. Useful in slowing the neural effects of old age or some forms of dementia. Elephant fruit may also help in mild cases of concussion. When samians are active around the elephant palm, it is a good indication of the fruit being ripe. Okay, so I feel like we have got those two things. Let's look. Oh gosh, it's this one, the elephant palm, and there was another one that was in there. I think we need to plant. Let's look, because I want to do this right. I don't want to mess up. Okay, the one on the left and the one on the right's like a big round one that looks like a ball in some way. Let's see. I don't think we have that plant though, do we? Okay, so it looks like. Okay, hold on. No, wait. No, no. Um, wait. There we go. Okay. It does not look like we have the plant. Is that a bad thing? Do we need this plant? Ooh. So, maybe that's not the plant. Maybe that's the fruit. Maybe you just plant this and you get the fruit. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, because that's the elephant palm. But there were like two things in that book. I'm gonna guess. Here, if we look at it, you notice there's on the far right, there's the seed, and then on the left of that second page, maybe that's the fruit itself. Okay. Well, let's try. Uh, oops. Okay. So let's plant the seeds. We're going to plant. Uh, oh. Okay. I thought we had. Oh. Okay. Here's our elephant palm. Let's Pacific acoustic guitar and the soil. Okay. So, I don't know. So we've got that. I think it looks like we've got to decide where we want to plant it. I guess we'll plant it here. It looks like where it will grow best, right? So that there. Elephant grows well here. will not grow fully here. Great. That's giving us words. Love it. Love it. It grows well here. Okay. And now needs more rooftop garden, needs more varied Pacific plants. Okay. Now what? Now I don't, do I plant another one? Needs more varied. So we need Pacific. Let's throw another Pacific plant in there. So these cliff shrubs are Pacific. Yeah, so let's put some cliff shrubs in here. Uh, oh, maybe I can't plant it. Oh, wait, look. I can plant it over here. Okay, so let's plant that. And then, what else do we have? Giant tree fern. Okay. I don't know if I can grow this. Oh, there we go. Needs more mature. Okay. So now I think I need to grow. I think each of the plants has its own sounds. So if I listen, yeah, roll dice. So I think each plant has its own musical sound, and then when you plant the garden, it will create a different song. And I will do that. I will up the volume. Thank you, Rissa. Ooh. You hear the same volume I hear. I've got it set up that way, so it was good for me too. Can we tend the plant? Needs more mature. Let's... Oop. Sorry. Oh. By the way, something needs my attention on the Instacart. Let's see what it is while we play. Hmm. Chill. It's nice. So it doesn't look like I can grow it anymore. Let's see. Let's listen. Oh, sorry about your migraine. Hmm. That's nice. It needs more mature specific plants. Do we have... okay, so this ultimate palm can be harvested. So let's harvest. Oh, that's great. And the elephant plant is doing well here. The giant tree fern. Let's also harvest. Okay, so the giant tree fern is the acoustic guitar. And this is... the elephant palm is also acoustic guitar. And the cliff shrub is sine wave. Oh. I want to see if I have any other Pacific. The Gelosa? Airports. Let's plant some Gelosa, shall we? Gelosa. Well, we can plant that there. I just want to see what we'll get. Ooh, did you hear that? It was added. Ooh, I love prepared piano. I think prepared piano is beautiful. Let's add some prepared piano. And then, what else is Pacific? We do. Piccolino is vibrations. We might be able to add this up here. And then, I think we had one other Pacific. The yellow caps. Oh, we have two. We've got the water nettle, which is reflections, and the yellow caps, which is bells, and I definitely want to add bells. That seems exciting. And I don't... oh, and we can put the water nettle over here. If you don't mind, I know we have what we need to give to our grandpa, but I would like to do some growth songs. We've composed the Pacific. Oh, look at them. We're going to listen to this after I play one more time to have it grow. I think. Hey, are you ready? Let's listen. That's nice. Now we need to find out what these things look like with different songs. Let's harvest. Yeah, we'll do our giveaways. Thank you. We will do our by the way, after I harvest this, we're going to do our giveaway. So, oh, this is okay, so this is doing well. This is growing old. What does that mean? If something's growing old, what does that mean? Do we need to salvage it? So I don't think you can harvest things that are growing old. Okay, we're gonna do 2 giveaways. Both of which are going to be, what's the word? On their way out. Because we've got just gonna harvest all this stuff, by the way. And I've done that. So here's my big question. Do you think I should salvage these things or no? We'll talk to Grandpa. He'll tell us everything, right? He'll let us know. Because I guess he'll know. He'll know. So, everybody, we're gonna do our giveaway. Because I've got 2 codes to give away because I need to catch up on giving away codes. Both of which are going to expire soon, so I have to give them away. Our first code is going to be Pacific Drive. And Pacific Drive... I will tell you, this music is very chill right now, and I'm very much enjoying it. So Pacific Drive, which we're going to be giving away first, is Carlos, it's fantastic. It is a survival game developed by Ironwood Studio, and it's a game set in a fictionalized version of the Olympic Peninsula, which the player traverses on foot or in a station wagon as they attempt to find a way to escape. It uses first-person perspective. The player must attempt to avoid anomalies and obstacles. The vehicle can be repaired and customized at the player's garage. You're right. Oh, nice. Artie, thank you, Artie. So, this is going to be our first giveaway. Krellin, Nightbot thinks you should have this game in our very chill music right now. Do you have it? Where'd it go? Oh, March. Krellin. I'm going to send you a Whisper or Pacific Drive. Nightbot still has a crush on Krellin. It is true. And our second game, by the way, is... I will tell you. November 2024. Our second game we're going to give away, I'm so chilled by this music right now, is Warhammer 40k Darktide. Okay. Thank you, Krellin. Thank you. We will give you a new one. We'll give it a new... Do you have Darktide? Krellin, do you have Warhammer 40k Darktide? Let me know, because if you don't, then that's the second game we're going to give away. And I'll give you that one. But this one will be for Pacific Drive. Rissa. Pacific Drive for you. Great. Rissa, I'm going to be sending you. This is Pacific Drive. And Krellin, would you like Warhammer 40k Dark Tide? That is our second giveaway for today. Let me know. As we listen to our chill music. Because, okay, good. Perfect. Excellent, excellent. And then... Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Sorry, this music is super chill. And it's, hanging out with me right now, and I appreciate that. Hold on. Perfect, okay. Krellin, here is Warhammer 40k. Oops. Dark Tide. Nice. That was lovely. So, giveaway done. We're gonna go talk to our grandpa. Let me, Ooh. Okay, so I don't know once their plants get old if we have to harvest, do the thing. Oh. Let's see. Wake him up. There you are. How are things? I'll be serious. What did I just do? Please don't fret, my girl. Oh. As Yoke would say, there are more things in heaven and earth. Actually, I think there's more to that quote, but he never finishes it. What does it mean? It's a way of saying that there is more to life than anyone can imagine. I will show you more, but you must trust me. It is how I learned, and how you shall too. Well, what are you teaching me? Now, do you have the fruit? I got... note. Gameplay note. Something I find super interesting is that it tells you what you're going to say, and then you click the button, and then you say it, which seems repetitive and redundant, but what that does allow is for you to be able to be interrupted before you finish, so you know what you were going to say, but then you also know that you got interrupted, and that's cool. I think that's very cool. Now, do you have the fruit? Yes, there's 3 elephant fruit. Thank you, my girl. I am proud of you, if you will allow me to be so. I will make a fine tonic from these. It will stabilize my recovery. Why won't you tell me anything? Why won't... it's not so simple. I used to have a mind like yours, always hungry for information, unbiased data. Did you know I used to be a scientist? I'll just tell the truth. If Mum told me, I guess I forgot. Well, I was of no consequence. I arrived here a scientist. But very quickly, my conventional science was deeply challenged. But what I learned and what I wish to pass on to you is the truth that knowing is a process, not a product. I'll be a good student. That makes sense, I guess. It is personal, relative. The garden that you just planted is the first I grew in Mutazione. Gaia was barely a toddler. So energetic, chasing after Claire or playing with the dots, the creatures who live in the tree crown. Oh, go fight the dark tide of the Hungry Kitties. We had come from a cramped apartment in the city, and as your grandmother began her much more respected and important research, I played with Gaia in the mud. Ooh, both of these are really interesting. Well, what were you researching? I was only there because Dora had been invited. Her research was world famous. I was there to care for Gaia. It was in a garden on this rooftop she spied her first dot. She ran after the poor thing. I chased her right into the crown of the tree and found her suddenly still, quiet, face to face with the dot shaman. She gave this strange little bow. They all swarmed around us as she giggled and hugged them. That time was so precious. I will try and relate. I see those moments in Toby sometimes. Oh. Ah, bundles of delight and frustration. I'll mash these into a tonic now. But you must know, I have done no small thing here today. No small thing. Thank you. Oh. I grew my first garden. I have questions. Tell me, being from the big city, you have much chance to revel in nature at home? I will talk about my secret garden. Actually, I grow some things. I found this weird-looking seed once, and the gutter outside my window is always blocked with crud. So I sort of planted it, and some other things, and they all grew. I guess they have to be quite marshy plants, though, because it's really damp soil. Fascinating. It sounds like you've an ear for it. Wait, what? Can you sense it, though, my girl? Sense what? It's subtle, but on the edge of hearing. Perhaps it is the tonic-taking effect, but it fills me with the fresh air. Like standing by the lighthouse in a high wind. Sea salt air scrubbing you clean. We're going to, walk around town. I think one of the questions I have is, should I harvest these things? You know what I mean? Because they're growing old, our plants. And... oh. My hands are ruined after all the gardening. I should see if Aelin can help. If Grandpa isn't going to talk, maybe Yokin could tell me more about the garden stuff. Yeah, maybe we should do that. About the growing stuff? Apparently I need to grow stuff in the garden on the roof, and I should also forage seeds or something. I guess this means I need quite a few different plants. Yeah, I guess I actually enjoyed this. It was really relaxing. A bit freaked out by the magic drumming bit, but somehow fitting it all together felt good. I need to bring Grandpa some elephant fruit when I finish growing this garden. First Dracaena of this. Hope this time we've actually fixed him. Why is he being so mysterious about explaining things? My hands are all ruined after all the gardening. I should see if Aelin can help. If Grandpa isn't going to talk, maybe Yoki can tell me more about the garden stuff. You know what? We will not mess with our garden until after we speak with people. We got to take care of those hands. It is important. So let's see. Let's talk. Let's go out this way to the east, and then we'll talk to the people. Go on, Zit. Go on, then. Good day there, fellow tree inhabitant. Fellow tree inhabitant. Don't freak me out. Hey, don't mess with the... Nick, don't mess with the dots. We have a new exciting lifestyle proposition for you today. Why don't you stay still and be marketed to? I don't think this is working. I will try and distract. Can I help? Husky, Majesty, the human is talking to me. It's telling you to stop. Lose weight, get fit, all in a dot-friendly fitness environment. Come on, Majesty, the dot doesn't want to generate electricity for you. Are you okay? Oh, okay. Well, oh, 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 okay. Uh, hmm. Well, salon and bathhouse. So many nice chill places. Everything feels slower here. Well, let's go in the salon, shall we? See what we... Oh. Okay. Ooh. I'm just not sure if I can face it, you know? Mm-hmm. The whole never go to sleep on an argument thing. Never go to sea on an argument. But we didn't argue. I'm just so tired. I just need some space. I can't go and make up with him and wave him off like a good little woman. Of course. I don't know what her voice was. Don't know what her voice was. Course. I love him. Of course I love him. But maybe I just can't bring myself to... Sorry, did you want to say something? Sorry? Maybe you can watch him go without having to talk to him. Go to the lighthouse, you can see for such a long way. That's the wrong voice. And it's so peaceful there. That's exactly it. That's a perfect idea, thank you. Right, now let's get these cuticles sorted. Well, yeah, so there's drama there, apparently. I'll have a number 3, please. Oh. Shoe-free zone, apparently. Well, I don't think I'm going to get my... Nope, apparently not. Nope, no taking care of for me. Ooh, bathhouse. Nope, nope. My hands are just going to be sad. But we have learned some exciting drama. Let's go this way, shall we? By the way, at some point, my... it will be here. When? I don't know. But at some point, it will be here. I don't know when. My food, my groceries, and then I'll just have to pick it up. But let's see. Let us explore out east and go to the archive, and maybe Yokai can tell us stuff, because, for heaven's sakes, we do need to learn more about what's going on. You know what I'm saying to you? So let's go to the archive. Maybe we can learn. Oh, well, this is going to be important, won't it? Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to talk because that'll advance time. So let's go out east, all the way east, and see what we can see before we talk and advance time. Because, you know, I don't want to miss anything. Look at all these creatures. They're cool. So I just feel like this game is going to be very meditative. Don't you think? I'm so fascinated by... Ooh. So that's like the big tree that where we live, I think. Then they're giving offerings to a big giant mushroom? I have questions. I have a lot of questions that I do not know the answer to. But that's okay. That's okay. So our cat person does not seem to hang out here during the day. That's all right. We can't get out, so that's fine. Look, I just want to do my due diligence. You know how I am. If there's like inventory to pick up, I want to pick up on it. Also, we've got these like stones with their like faces. I think that's interesting. Who lived here? Are the dots indigenous to this place? I don't know. This is a question that I have. Oh my goodness. So anyway, as we are gonna just walk this way, we're gonna get as much as we can here before we advance time. Well, yes, it's advanced time. What is where does this go? I see. All right, well, let's find out, everybody. What we can learn in the archive. It might be important. It might save the world. Also save the cheerleader. We're gonna go with German now, I guess. This is an interesting book, but the editor's efforts are regrettable. Misplaced apostrophes, typographical errors, and about 1/3 of every page is simply reiterating what has gone before. What does an editor actually do? What does an editor, like, do? Editors are invaluable, dear girl. There's a bird's eye view of a volume of writing. I dabble a little, you know. The encyclopedia, for example. But I know your grandfather added a lot of material after I worked on it. I've been meaning to ask about it. Don't think it occurred to me to know that others might need to use the book. Ask about those symbols. What are the symbols next to the plant names? Ah, yes, I've often caught a glimpse of those, and I wondered if I should ask him. But there was some knowledge passed to him by Mani that I didn't feel comfortable asking about. I will do some more research so that might prove helpful. Okay, let me ask about Mani then. Who was Mani? Mani played a large role in all of our lives. But for your grandfather, she represented an awakening that had changed, well, everything. Okay. Oh, she was the person who led us right after the moon dragon struck. Did you know that? Whoa. Before even my time. When young Nono landed on our shore, it was 44 years since the great disaster. Mani led us out of that dark time, when the mainland deserted us, afraid of our developing mutations. She held us together, helped us rebuild, and taught us to embrace what had changed. I'll be serious. Sounds like a real leader. Indeed, she was. She had a special kind of, charisma. Not loud or overbearing, but when she spoke, you listened. She never liked to tell, only to invite us to think and work together. That, I suspect, is how she taught Nono. And is part of how he is trying to teach you. Oh. But I could have learned more things from that conversation. Fine. Well, let's see if there's anything in here we can learn before we leave. And we should probably check our diary. Ooh. I quite like the art. I wonder how it was made. You know? Let's see. Let's see. About Aelin. Interrupt Aelin and Claire plotting ways for Aelin to avoid Graub. Seems sensible to me, but then I'm not his girlfriend. And if Grandpa's not going to talk, maybe Yoke can tell me more about the garden stuff? Whoa, Nani sounds super cool. She taught Grandpa everything he knows? Huh. Should go back tomorrow and see if Yoke finds any more gardening magic stuff. And for the afternoon, did Aelin hide out by the lighthouse in the end? Should go see how Tung's boat is going. Maybe I can get a lift back with him instead of Grob. Okay. Let's see where we're going, shall we? Okay. I wonder how I can get down there. Well, there are people everywhere. Let's see what we can find. and what we can learn. Ooh, here we go. Hey, look. Hi. Maury. I'm just replanting a few things. I've given lots of herbs over to this hot sauce bow packet Spike I'm making. If you take my advice, you'll stay well clear. I've also made some veggie skewers. Marinade of my own. No hot sauce in sight. Gardens seem to be a bit different here. Everything is a little different. For example, I'm a lovely blue-green color. There's so many little spots around here that used to thrive. No used to tend to them, but without him out and about. Well, it's lovely to hear that you've got his green fingers. Huh. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have some kind of mission that's going to involve, you know, taking care of plants. Busy. Well, okay, then I will stop talking to you, I guess. I don't have to, like... People are very busy in this world, so there's somebody up there who could be very interesting. Let's, I want to talk to all the people and see what we can find. Because, you know, I mean... Oh, okay. I think they're making their hot sauce. Somebody's very excited. Yummy. But maybe with a little more hot sauce. Even more yum. Hey, forget it, Bo. We're not adding any more. Just a tiny bit. Hey, you can add all you want after it's cooked, but this is for everyone. Hey. But it's so much better added before. You really want to pass out again, buddy? I'll be okay this time. Or have everyone else on the floor? There's no one around to pick you up on the floor then, huh? Tasty, though. Y'all didn't have to stop chatting just because I was feeding cats. See how they are? It's without, you know, if you're not feeding cats, then what's the point? So they're going to be making some kind of hot sauce. Oh. Everyone? Oh. It's kind of empty, huh? Where is everybody? Well, I guess they're out and about. So I was there was something I was going to tell you I was thinking about. Let's, I think there's some interesting stuff up there, but we're going to go out this way to see what there is. I'm not sure if I can watch. Watch what? Grob. I know he's a bit of an oaf, but I think he might genuinely burst into tears. I hope they sort it out before the baby gets here. I'm going to pretend to read my book some more. Okay, there is some serious drama happening in this town. There's love relationship drama. Okay, well, houseboats are cool. You know, when I, was looking for places to stay here in Seattle, did you know, there were houseboats I could have lived on? And I was like, I wonder if I should live on a houseboat. But then I decided that I wasn't certain there would be good enough internet on a houseboat. But as it turns out, I probably would have been fine since I bought my own internet anyway. I would have known about the cellular limit. Maybe all this time I could have been staying on a houseboat. But I think it's good that the place where I'm at has its challenges, but I think it's a good place. It's a great location. I'm in walking distance of Random Tuesday and Sour Fruit Junkie, which is great. We've had dinner a couple times. It's been really, really nice. I can't talk secret. My alien is going to be here any second. Any second. Yeah, I don't think that's actually... If you stayed on a houseboat, you'd have made Anti-Geek shells. That's probably true. I mean... I wonder how much houseboats cost. Are houseboats expensive? How much does a houseboat cost? And how much are berthing fees? Is a houseboat a realistic choice? Or is it not a realistic choice? I have questions about houseboats. Hello. Oh, hey. Let's talk about the location. Distraction. Wow, it's a great view. On a clear day, you can see for miles. Roughly equivalent to home owning, from what I remember of when Anna used to talk about living on a boat. Is it really? Oh. But like, what kind of, is it like high cost of living home loaning area where houses all cost $1 million, or like low cost of living area? Hey, Dervish, Dervish Pie. Thought they were more than mobile homes and more maintenance, berthing versus park fees. Oh, that's a good question. Did you know what? Hey, when I was younger, I thought that a trailer park was a Winnebago. Yeah, more than a cheap mobile home, but less than an expensive home. Hmm. So like when I was a kid, I heard the term trailer park, and I thought a trailer park was just like a place where we would like move a Winnebago. You know, Winnebagos, like, you know, like the big, you know, Winnebagos. And I thought that's what a trailer was. A trailer home. I thought was just like a house on wheels. But as it turns out, that's not what a trailer home is. It turns out a trailer home is a home that they put on a trailer and then move to a place and then drop down, but it's not a home on wheels. So my whole childhood, I was mistaken. I was under the false impression that, you know, a a trailer house, a trailer home was a home on wheels. And I thought that was, I was like, but I was a kid. How was I supposed to know? Or what is it? Furlongs? No, knots. Funny word to use, knots. Feels all furled up. Tong's working on a new boat. They are mobile and that they are capable of being moved, not that they're independently mobile. Right, I was mistaken the entire time. Like, I thought that they were, you know, I was, but you know, when you don't, like, I didn't grow up around them, so I didn't know, and I had the wrong impression of them. Dervish Pie says, I thought the same. Thank you. I'm not the only one. Those mobile homes are a lot fancier, and class prejudices around those change a lot after actually seeing one. Oh, interesting. So like the ones that are like independently mobile with wheels, like those can be really fancy, right? Speaking of class perceptions, I was thinking about how people don't, like, there's like a class stigma against trailer parks. But then, you remember just a couple years ago that the tiny homes became all of that? I remember watching I didn't watch the whole thing. There was like a little reality show about tiny homes. And these people were spending like a huge amount of money, like an insane amount of money on these tiny homes. And I just feel like these tiny homes they seem to be like fancy, right? They seem to have like fancy people have tiny homes, and they build them on like the lot of their like big home, and then they have their little tiny home, and then they'd like, in this reality show, they built all these like hydraulics into these tiny homes so that your tiny home was tiny, but then like you could pull a thing and then like it would like have moving, like it was wild. And I was like, thank you, RVs, that's what they're called, right? A Winnebago's an RV. RV, what's the R stand for? Recreational vehicle. Recreational vehicle. Tiny homes seem a little like, yeah, I these were like 50 square feet. Do you know what I'm saying to you? These were like places that were like so small, but they spent like millions of dollars on them. And I don't, did not understand what was going on there. Yo, dog, I heard you like home, so I put a home in your home so you could live where you live. It was like that, right? And I was like, you can't even stand upright. And so I was like, what is going on? What is happening? Oh, hey, apparently my food was delivered. So like, I don't know what that was all about. Like, it is unclear to me what was happening there. I miss Yo Dog memes. Oh, I'm glad he finally started it. It's good for him to have something to do. What do you dream of, Kai? All right, so here's the deal. My food is upstairs. I've got to go upstairs really quickly, grab it, and bring it back down here. So I'm going to take us to break. Be back in like probably 5 minutes, and then we will finish up. We'll finish up. I'll be right back, everybody. I'm back. How are you? It is me. I am back. So here's the thing. The recipe I have for the pulled pork calls for 4 pounds of pork shoulder. And the only sort of the thing of pork shoulder they had was 6 pounds. And I was like, that's okay. I'll get 6 pounds. It'll be fine. And they didn't have this 6 pound pork shoulder thing. They had like smaller packs. And I was like pork shoulder rib or whatever. And I was like, that's fine. Replace it with, and those were 2 pounds a piece. So I was like, get me two of those. That'll be 4 pounds, which is what the original recipe calls for. That'll be fine. And I have gotten them. They have arrived. And it is, each pack is supposed to be on average 2 pounds. And that is not the case. One is 2.3, or they're both under 1.5 pounds. So I have 2 pounds of I have less than 2.5 pounds of pork shoulder. I'm going to make it because I need to. This is my dinner for tonight. But it's always a bummer for me when this happens because um, this means I will not have as many days worth of food, and I'm going to have to cook again. Just seems saying to you, "Oh, hey, hold on one second. Will you give me 1 second?" Oh, also, wait. Mm, 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 mm. Hold on. I was in the wrong background. Right. This is what I'm saying. Leftovers. This is what I'm saying because I plan to like have basically I plan for usually 4 days for one meal. So like I eat it and then I'll have like 3 to 4 days of leftovers. And this was going to be like a 5 day meal. And now it's going to probably be 2 to 3. I might be able to make it 3 days, but that's very disappointing because that means I have to cook again much sooner than I wanted to. I wanted all of my leftovers. Um, Let me just check something, will you? Hold on. Oh. I'm back. I just wanted to make sure the tuna was there because I was planning. I got the materials for pulled pork sliders with corn, and then after that I'll make my tuna casserole, and just gonna have to cook faster than I wanted. I was really hoping to get through the weekend before I would have to cook again, but probably not. Cold War. See, I appreciate that Dervish Pie, that I appreciate that you all understand that it's all about leftovers. Because look, as a single person, um, love a sandwich made with bumblebee. Mm-hmm. 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 I love leftovers. It is like delicious times, and I am. Oh, I can make tuna casserole stretch. That's fine. Like my tuna casserole is like usually like 6 meals out of my tuna casserole. So, in case you don't know, just in case you're interested, what I tend to do is I tend to go in rotation. So I go uh, beef, chicken, pork, fish in a rotation. I might throw in something special randomly, but that tends to be what I do. So, like I usually have like beef once, like of each one basically once every 4 months. It's like a 4 month rotation, more or less, more or less. And I just finished my chicken rotation where I had chicken adobo. That was delicious. And now I am on my pork rotation, which would have lasted me for a full month of 4 weeks of. Sorry, no, I just lied to you. It's not even 4 months. It's 4 days, 4 to 5 days. It's 1 month. It's 1 month. It's a 1 month rotation. Why am I ridiculous? We've been eating them for the last 5 days. Now I have to cook again. See, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows. Do I have meat every day? Restaurant food gets tiresome if I have too many days of not wanting to cook. Yes, I understand you. But I love a good curry, and most are too much work to make. I made actually a pretty decent curry recently. Shish kebabs are planned. We have a load of peppers and onions. Do I meat every day? I do, actually. I do have meat every day. Um, Usually just once, but I do have meat every day. That meat might be shrimp, right? Or it might be whatever it is. I usually have some kind of meat every day. Uh, but usually just once. My other meals tend to be something uh, other than meat. I cooked up a pack of ramen to stretch leftover hot and sour for lunch today. Ooh, pineapples. Ooh, delicious. Yeah, I made this curry that was like a ground beef curry and it was very good. I only have meat every day if eggs count as meat. I count eggs as meat. So I yeah, it's gonna be something like either like a traditional meat or it's gonna be eggs. So one of those I kind of do in within my rotation. I do count that actually. Ever heard of an animated movie called The Time Masters? The Time Masters. No, but wasn't there an RPG from the 80s from TSR called The Time Masters? No, no, it wasn't by TSR. But the same people who did Sandman, Time Masters, right? It's French. Meat, eggs, or peanut butter. They're in that one part of the. Yes, yes. I've not heard of the Time Masters. Oh, you remind me of a thing I want to talk to you all about, by the way. Yes, but this is from before that, I think, or parallel. Yeah, I usually have 2 to 4 vegetarian meals a week, keep costs low, and keep with the heart healthy dietary restrictions. Yeah, I don't. None of my other meals are meat though. Like I tend to only have one meat meal a day. Everything else is something not meat based. And I try to have like good fiber in there. Although I don't really trust my oven here. It's really kind of sketchy. So I don't. I think I'm probably going to be transitioning from my granola to just having oatmeal, but that makes me sad. Yeah, but I will say that I only have red meat when I'm um, on my beef. So I tend to only have red meat once a month, I guess. Yeah. I make sure to have protein every meal. Helps slow down the sugar buildup. Yeah, see, I need to have protein because I have to. Yes. Looks like a space opera adventure. Starts with a guy crashing his vehicle and sending a child off with a radio as he's trapped. Start to watch it, but probably hold up till after your stream. Oh. Hmm. Yeah, I don't tend to have red meat. Like red meat's only one of my rotations, so if I can get 6 meals, that's really. So maybe one, like 4 days out of the month. 82. Oh. What do I dream of? Lentils and edamame are good for fiber and protein. I'm currently eating Moroccan lentils for my lunch, which is very delicious. If Stacey doesn't protein, she falls over. I tend to I have not had my protein shake in a bit, and I really need to do that. Uh, yes. Yes. Master RPGs from 84. Yep, it's from the same people who did the Sandman. And I'm hoping that we can finish up our Sandman adventure probably in the hiatus between season 7 and 8 of The Gambler. Honestly, my dad, I dream about him a lot. He's on some island in the clouds. Hey, Sitter, yep. He died in an airplane accident. I guess that's why. Oh, honey, that's so sad. I'm sorry. Was it hard to grow up without a dad? December, yeah, well, it won't be December. It'll have to be January when I get back. Because Traveler, if we can get the full 12 in, we might only be able to get in 11, but I hope we can get the full 12 in, is going to end right before I move back, right before I drive back to Massachusetts. Because we're starting in October. Like, when we start in September, we can usually end a little bit earlier, but we're starting in October, November, December. That's basically, we're starting next week. And that means we will end right before I leave. It'll be like right at the end of December, then I pack up and go in the beginning of January. So it'll probably be in January we can do the Sandman, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to it. They did Chill and Star Race 2. Yes, Chill was my first horror game. Actually, will the state border still be open by then? That's a good question. Yeah, no, I had Chill, and I finally have Sandman. And I remember seeing Star Ace and Time Master, and just watching in the game store. Didn't get them though. I did. It was one of the Chill was one of the first games that I GM'd where I did like maps and like I really went full out and sort of created my own modules and did stuff for. It was and I still have it in somewhere in a box somewhere. But I liked it. It had good art. Only been a couple of years. So Fox is returning for the new season. Yes, Fox is returning for the new season, indeed. And as a matter of fact, Fox and I have got a meeting next Wednesday to talk about what the Harlock has been doing in the interim. So yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff to do before the new season starts, and also the new season of the new show. I didn't hate Chill, but the purple on the purple on purple design was too challenging for my eyeballs. That's fair. That is fair. I don't mean to pry. It must have been hard for your mum, too. Around here, it more or less to say that we bring kids up together. And we do, in a way. You don't have one mother figure and father figure, but 3 or 4. Sorry, love, I don't know why I'm going on. I'll see you at the barbecue later, okay? I'm going to sit out here a bit more. Derby says, try not to judge a book by its cover, but I almost judge an RPG by its cover. It depends on the cover, I guess. I hadn't thought about that. The cover of the original Chillbox shows what looks like a Victorian man, doesn't it? I believe so. It does take place in the present day. I do not have my Chill books here, and I'm sure that they're currently in a box somewhere. One of the boxes I have yet to unpack that I got from my parents' house when they moved. Like, I've got some, like, my comic books are still in boxes, and I just am looking for a place. Once I settle down, then I can unpack my stuff for real. And you're thinking, aren't you settled down? I am not yet, but I will be. Reminds me of the faint gold on bright white of Mage the Awakening. Well, let's, apparently there's a barbecue. And that I will be going to later, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what this barbecue is about, but I've heard black print on white pages still. Speaking of art, people have feelings, you know, about art and layout. Feelings in ways that I sometimes don't always know how I feel about. Thank you, 545. We are probably going to stay. We've got I would say, I'm gonna say we're gonna go to like 6:15 or 6:20 around there, so we can get the full 3 hours in. That would be my thought there. Uh, oh, oh, no CR tonight. Okay, okay, okay. Uh, you know what? No CR just means I just do more work getting ready for the 2 shows that are premiering next week. I also don't have an inkjet printer. Black print is way easier on ink cartridge. Yes. So I think, um, sorry, I'm a bit sweaty. So here's the thing, right? You know, there are people who are like, you can't have a successful RPG if you don't spend lots of money on art, and people really, oh, and tomorrow's show, absolutely. And people have a lot of feelings about art in RPGs. And I I like art in RPGs, but if there were like there are some games that don't have a lot of art, and that's also fine with me. Like generally I do tend to want a really nice cover art. That's cool. But I don't need like full color, full bleed splash pages for every chapter. I actually don't need, like, I will still be happy with a game that doesn't have immense amounts of art or even hardly any art if it makes sense for the game itself. Like for a lot of games that are very technical, I do like I do appreciate seeing drawings of like the equipment, or at least some of it. Like that's very cool. Things that are evocative, things like that. But I don't necessarily need you to spend $10,000 on art. That's not. It's yeah. Uh, it's fine. It's fine. Like I would rather have maps if it's that kind of game than lots and lots of art. Hot take: I don't care for free League books that seem like there's more art than writing. I hate the alien white print on black background. Oh, I have to look into that more. Um, I also feel like there's this real um, what's the word? Pressure for independent game designers who are self-publishing to like have the production value of like a major print house, and like almost nobody does. Uh, and I remember people were like, there's this whole discussion about people have feelings, and sometimes I don't get it, right? Things like there's a discussion of, I guess there's a way in which people talk about things as evolutionary in ways that I don't necessarily like. Things like people didn't know how to do layout before, but now we do, and our layout is good, and all the layout from the past is bad because they didn't understand layout yet, or it's like, or layout, these things are part of fashion trends. Like people will discuss how GURPS has bad layout. GURPS Fourth Edition has bad layout, and that's why no one could ever play it because the layout is bad. And I just don't think the layout is bad. Hey, Janitor Prime, this doesn't look like Traveler. Did I take a wrong turn at Albuquerque? Ah, Janitor Prime. No, no. Traveler starts next week, by the way. Next week on Friday. Oh my goodness. Um, medieval people understood perspective. It just wasn't how they did art. Exactly. That just wasn't interesting for them, and that wasn't their priority, right? And yeah, so I think about that a lot. I think about how because GURPS has 3 column. Is it a 3 column layout? It might go between. I feel like it might be 3 column. Hold on. Now I have to check because it might be 2. Um, let me double check. I'm gonna have to double check because now I am curious. Let me see. Gaming. Where are you, gaming? Gaming. E23 PDFs. GURPS core. GURPS basic set characters. I'm gonna come here just in case it does weird stuff. It did. I knew it. I'm pretty sure that GURPS is a 3 column layout. It is. It's 3 column with boxes. That's what it is. And some people are like, "Oh, 3 columns. Ugh." I was like, it was fine. Like I don't. Like, it was fine. You know, I'm not mad about it. Uh, Not gonna lie, not a fan of the 3-column layout. I know Trail of Cthulhu uses 3-column, and for me, I kind of just don't care. Like I'm not gonna not play a game because it has 3 columns versus 2 columns. That is not gonna be a deal breaker for me. Also, I will note that one of the other things though is that GURPS books are not 8.5 by 11. They're wider than that. They have like a they are the pages are a bit bigger. Pretty sure they're not 8.5 by 11. I'm pretty sure they're a bit wider than that. So, you know, fine. I'm currently at this very moment looking at an RPG with the 3-column layout. Ooh, which one, Krellin? Jenner Prime says, GURPS is like a moped fun, but you don't want your friends to see you on it. You know, here's the thing, Janitor Prime. I have never been that person. I have always been that person who was just like, how do I put this? If I like it, I'm gonna like it. I was already bullied for the things I like, so why be ashamed of it? You know what I mean? Like, I was just gonna let my freak flag fly. That's all. Stardate magazine, towards the end, uses a really weird layout with like 2 columns in the middle and a separate 3rd column near the page end, so it was completely separate stuff. Like, what? Oh, Ars Magica 5e. And I actually, see, here's the thing. Like, I think, I'm pretty sure when I'm remembering the books that they are taller and wider than 8.5 by 11. So I think that 3 commas made sense for them because of their page size. In the same way that a lot of those games that are the folio size, like, you know, the indie game folio size, tend to use 1 column because they're just smaller. And I think a lot of 8.5 by 11 books will use 2 columns. And so for me, I was like, oh, like they're using the column width that makes sense for the size of the page. And then I just move on. I guess it's because everything's PDF now. Okay, I want to play the Morrow Project, 3rd edition. Uh, Brunch 1980s post-apoc. Ooh. A4, yeah, A4. Yes, A4. A4, right? That's the... Wait. Hold on. The Morrow Project. I do like crunchy things. Hold on, let me see. A4 paper size. Paper size. A... Not... Can you just give me... Can you do this? Or... You still need to playtest Morrowind Project. Oh, I've got so many things I want to talk about. A4 is taller and thinner than 8.5. Uh-huh. Where's the... Okay, so dimension of A, B, C series. Okay, so A, B, and C. What's the difference? A, B, and C. History. All right, so A4 is 8.3 by 11.7. A3, so the lower the numbers, the bigger the page. The smaller the numbers, the... Wait. A1 is really big. A9 is very small. Okay, that's it. Mostly the combat system I've ever seen other than Paranoia. Oh. Oh. Hold on. I'm gonna look up something, and you just reminded me. Morrow Project. When was the first edition? 1980 was the first edition. Oh, and then the second edition was also 1980. There's a 4th edition of Morrow Project with a later war start than the 3rd edition. A3 is 2 times A1 in one direction. A2 is double in the other. I think all sizes double in that fashion. Oh, interesting. Okay, so something I noticed about a lot of games in the back in the day days. So Morrow Project, the 1st and 2nd edition came out the same year. I feel like the 1st edition probably was not good, and they immediately came out with the 2nd edition. GURPS 1st and 2nd edition were very close together. Vampire the Masquerade's 1st and 2nd edition, very close together. So I think there was a moment in the 80s where a number of these games came out with their 1st editions, and then a year later, or very, very closely thereafter, they came up with like the 2nd edition, and people often... the 1st edition is not bad. Kind of a simple system. Interesting. Yeah, I think second edition added some Call of Cthulhu type skills. Huh. Yeah, in like a thing in the center of the book, they added essentially the first edition of the book. First edition was a limited release. Ah, I see. This funded the reprint and second edition. Yes. So it seems like this was uh this there were a number of games that seemed to do this in the 80s, which the third edition added skills in hand-to-hand combat. You know, it's so fascinating because the Morrow Project has a lot in common with GURPS, in just in terms of timing, right? That the hold on. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's fine. Right. Okay. So Morrow Project is earlier, of course, but in terms of timing, so the Morrow Project had the first and second edition came out in 1980, and then 3 years later was the third edition, which stayed until 2013 with the fourth edition. And GURPS had the first and second edition came out in 86, and then 2 years later, the third edition, which was the big edition everybody played, until the fourth edition came out in 2004. So both GURPS and the Morrow Project have a very similar timeline, different start dates, but a different timeline. And Vampire the Masquerade, a little bit different, but the first edition came out in 91, the second edition came out in 92. And that stuck around until the revised edition, which we could call the third edition, which came out in 98. And then that stayed until. Well, when did Vampire the. When did their big fourth edition come out? Not the 20th anniversary, but the other one. Vampire the Requiem. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, hmm. You want a vicious combat system? Bureau 13. Remember the competition was after. Oh, I remember Aftermath and Gamma World. I really want to run Twilight 2000. Sorry. Did you ever see the Living Steel? It came out in the 80s. Lovely books. Lots of thought went to their design, but no thought into costs or playability, despite a theme I liked. No, I've got to look into it. One of the characters in the game I ran got his left testicle blown off. One of the NPCs died when he was shot in the duodenum, I think. Oh my goodness, that sounds very fatal. I remember seeing ads for Living Steel, never knew what it was about. Year 13 is also by Richard Tukolka, with Kevin Dockery doing the combat system. Living Steel. Oh, I'm seeing the cover right now. Right, yes. It was from Phoenix Command. I do remember that. I did not have it. I remembered it. Right. Huh. Hmm. And now I have got thoughts. Is what's happening. Um. So, y'all. I actually get this? So speaking of games, Requiem is technically third edition. D20 is fourth. Yeah. Yes. Because they didn't count Revise as a separate edition, which they could have, but it's fine. There's a shared combat system across the TriTac Games products with Richard Tukolka. Ah. Living Steel was created by some friends, so it's the one venture in Book Pub I know much about. It was a post-apocalyptic mech warrior game with supplies, big mechanic. I'll have to look into it. You know how I am. I love these things. So, guess what, everybody? Somebody made a post on our Reddit, the subreddit, the RPG subreddit, and somebody's like, "Hey, whatever happened to Rollmaster?" And people then were talking about Rollmaster because there is a newer edition of Rollmaster Universal, that came out, and I was like, I think I might be able to get some of those PDFs. I certainly played Rollmaster back in the day, and I was just reading some reviews, and people were like, Rollmaster is super crunchy, but if you like it, you really like it. And I was like, I remember playing a little bit of Rollmaster when I was in the army, which I enjoyed, but I haven't played it since then. And I thought, I should put Rollmaster on my docket of games to look into and revisit, because why not? When I played Rollmaster, it seemed very complicated and crunchy. That's what everybody says. I want to see it again from adult eyes. Want to play Stargate before the idea was ripped off? Play Fringeworthy. A million alternate Earths await passing through the gate. Hope says, my best buddy loves Rollmaster. Max, right? It took us an hour to run one combat round. Well, I wonder how much of that is getting used to the system, you know? Um, Sorry, I'm a bit sweaty. I was feeling a bit stupid about this yesterday, but I don't know. Suddenly felt like maybe I could do it. Make the boat nice and shiny? Eventually, today I'm sanding up all the old paint. Dennis told me I need to feather out the bits that are flaking. But I started, and now I think I want to sand the whole thing. The only way to get the barnacles off, I think. New start? Exactly. Dennis helped me work out which paper I should use. Oh, you guys seem close. Kinda helped raise me, really. When my, dad left, Maury was holding Mum together. The longest time we didn't know if he was lost or just left. Guess I went a bit kind of wild. Wild? What's that? I was bigger than my mum when I was 5 years old. Dad when I was 6. When I go wild, it's hard for people to think I can be scary. I don't see that. I can be moody, I don't know. Dennis saw when my moods were coming. He helped me learn to control them. Anyway, I need to get on. Catch you later at the barbecue, though. Sure. Also, I don't know anything about this barbecue. Just side note. Apparently there's a barbecue. That's what I can tell you. There is a barbecue. And I feel like I'm just missing all this stuff. You know, I've been thinking about Crunch recently. You know, also, where is this barbecue going to take place is another question I have. And, oh, hey, there it is. Also, hold on. Time for this barbecue everyone's so excited about. Let's see. Did Aelin hide out at the lighthouse in the end? Stuff's all a bit too much. I'm so bad at talking about feelings. I should see how Tung's boat is going. Guess I'm being a bit harsh about people I only just met. Boat looked broken still. Okay, barbecue. Is it muted? Let's see what we got going on here. I'm seeing sound going. I'm seeing sound on the out. That's what it's looking like sound is happening. Let me see. I'm hearing sound. I'm hearing sound. Um, so it was it was you. Let me see. Let's see. Mechanical familiarity and reading your turn speed up combat, but that isn't always what the table is looking for. Yeah. Dervish Pie says Living Steel designed by Caltech alumni. Oh, trying to do the ultimate in simulation of weapons. They later come up with a game based on the Alien franchise. I got the impression it was a bit popular. Hmm. Janitor says, I found that flowcharts help with gaming a system people aren't familiar with. Janitor, I have something to tell you about that. Anyway, liking the passage of time with this in this game you're doing. Well done. Yeah, I do. I like it too. I think it's really good. Uh, oh, no, right now there's no sound in the background at the moment. Very light sound. You wouldn't, it's not big. So, about flowcharts, when I first started running GURPS, I made a series of flowcharts for combat and for me as a GM. I made my own GM screen and I made these flowcharts and for combat and damage and healing. And I have to tell you, they were so great. They really helped. And once I had run combat enough, I didn't need them anymore. But they were a really good way to visualize things. And I actually really love making flowcharts for games. And believe it or not, I am making flowcharts for Traveler. It's a bit slow going. Like I've been working on it little bit by little bit, and I do have flowcharts for. I like to make a flowchart and then like an example in different ways. And one of these days, I'm actually going to put them up on Drive Through RPG, I think. But at the moment, I like to play test them a couple of times. And for Traveler, I tend to want you're going to want like a melee. So you actually need multiple flowcharts. So you need melee because there's melee and range rules, right? And then you need a flowchart for vehicle combat, which is uh, one set of rules. Vehicle combat. So basically, you're going to need person-to-person combat, vehicle combat, uh, dogfighting in atmosphere, dogfighting not in atmosphere with spaceships, and then spaceship combat. So it's basically one, two. You need 4 flowcharts, and then if you wanted to, you could if you were using there are some rules which I may be using at some point in time. You'll have to wait for that one for mass combat, both on ground and also in space. And that would be a different set of flowcharts. But I find a really good flowchart and then like a nice example really just help things out. And I've created the flowchart for melee. I've created flowcharts for melee, spaceship combat. I think I need to do dogfighting in atmosphere. Anyway, I'm almost done with all my flowcharts. And I'm not making them just for myself. I'm making them for the players as well, so that they can see them. And doing like I'm trying to make them very, very. I'm trying to make the flowcharts really, really practically useful for players, so they can be like, oh, these are the like the flow. Basically, the flowchart exists, and then also as part of the flowchart packet, there are any tables you would need. So if you're like, you need this table for this, they're all so like all the tables are there with the flowcharts, and all I have to do now is add like a narrative example so that people can see it. Yep, I'm a fan of that sort of thing. Uh, to our life path, I died 4 times in character creation. What's janitor? You were pushing your luck. I admit to trying to do this a few times. Oh yeah, robot mechanics are cool. Traveler's I would like your thoughts on this for a moment. I'm a fan of the life path rules and character creation. It kind of moves things ahead in session 0. I like all of it. Flowcharts are so great, and the thing is, once you get the it onto your system, then you don't necessarily need them as much. But I just find them to be very practical. And look, I I don't think there's anything wrong with crunch in a game. I think crunch can be bad and what not well done, and then maybe it's not the best. But also, crunch can be great. Like there's you know, and yes, I like your description of flowcharts. Used to be trying to touch many of the learning modes people have too. Yes, I mean because uh, also like for me, because I want the different like I think that um there are different ways, and like so as a GM, I just had the flowchart there, so it's like oh, it's just like little things like oh right, if you hit somebody for more than half of their hit points in one go, I have to make sure I roll for knockdown. Great, right? And it's just right there, and it's all easy. And I find that with this way, you don't have to like flip around in a book. And if you're the players, you're like, oh, okay. And I made little tables where I was like, because with Traveler space combat, there are different like the commander gets to do something, the pilot does something, and they're in different phases. It's really not that complicated. But I find if you have a flowchart, then all of a sudden combat goes much faster because everybody knows where they're at. It's just a little bit easier. Like, oh, I'm here, 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 and then you just go. And so a lot of this stuff doesn't actually have to be long. As long as you have a good sort of sense of where everything is at, it can go much faster. And I just like to help make things go fluid. I love that. Uh, hey, Jitterbug, says Spike. It's our last conversation. Oh, cool, you came. Wonderful of you to join us, dear girl. French doesn't favor the virgin GM. French keeps the game on the rails versus the storyteller system, which leave a lot to interpretation. Yeah, it's, although I would say in some ways it depends, right? Because what Crunch does, it makes it easier because you know what you can and you cannot do. I'm not so much a fan of the Savage World system. I've played Savage World before it was Savage World and it was just Deadlands, but I have to run it. That's for another project though. The thing is, the thing about crunch is that it makes it clear what you can and cannot do. So if you are a new player or a new GM, it makes it very clear. In some ways, it's easier. The more defined a system, the easier it can be. I have found that people sometimes have a really hard time with games that are vague. They're like, do whatever you want, and then just judge what it is. And then like that can be very hard for people because they're like, well, can I do this or can I not do this? Thank you, 610. What's your thought on the cipher system? A friend of mine is talking of running, and I want to try something new, so I'm hopeful. I will tell you what I think about it after you run it, after you play it. Max, I will tell you what I think after you have played it. By the way, the new edition is out. Well, they're kickstarting the new edition of the cipher system. I don't know if the Kickstarter is still running. Crunch is nice because it covers some of the judgment calls. Fate, for example, was a real challenge for me to try running. You know, Dervish, I spent a long time really thinking about Fate. I think, first off, I actually really, really adore Fate as a system. A lot of people do not like Fate. I think it's because Fate does not do a good job of describing itself for people who are used to a different system, and many Fate fans are kind of weird about Fate in ways that are not helpful. The thing about Fate is that technically, Fate is dead simple. It is really, really easy. Conceptually, it is not that easy. It is like mechanically super easy. Conceptually, not as easy. And that it takes quite a bit of it is conceptually not that easy, and it does not describe itself very well, is what I'm going to say. But mechanically, it's dead simple. But that's the thing that you kind of need. Like, one of the reasons why I was able to work through Fate is because I've played for so long that I was able to sit there and really, really, really think about it. But yeah. And you love the fake. Oh, thank you, Dervish. But again, it really, like, you have, like, the reason why I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna turn that campaign that I ran into a book, and I'm going to have a lot of advice for people who to understand Fate, because a lot of people don't. I mean that it doesn't favor the virgin dreams. The rules seem overwhelming until you've broken it down to digestible pieces like a skill usage. Max says, I've noticed the difference between you and Ross Payton playing Fate, which he uses for his base Raiders RPG. I feel like he throws Fate points at his players just to mess with them. I like it though. This is why I will only play with Fate with you. I think there are probably other people who probably will run Fate like I do, but I'm going to write a book about it. And yeah, sounds like a good plan. Joss Whedon turned his travel campaign to a TV show called Firefly. It's true. I might have heard of it, maybe once or twice. It's the thing is that I have one rule. It's a me rule, which is that I will never compel someone if they don't have any Fate points left, even though that is not the rule. But you know. Let me finish this conversation. There's a free seat next to Aelin. Right, now I can get serving. What do you fancy? Some carefully marinated muntjac steak? Or the veggie-friendly beech nut and blue fern bake? Muntjac steak, I guess? Prime muntjac, cooked to perfection. Don't worry, we went light in the hot sauce. Boo. Okie dokie, everybody's got some food? Oh no. What's up, buddy? Oh. He can tell that look on your face. There's a speech coming. The food is getting... Dennis. I'm the host, and the host has to open with a speech. It's got weird food here. You got guests. We got guests, you see. What about speeches after... shush. Alrighty. So as I was just inferring, we've got a very special guest with us. Kai, raise your sweet butt off that seat. By the way, there are... Yeah. I've spent some time thinking about how to translate Fate for people who are used to simulationist or gamist systems, because there is a core of Fate that does have simulationism in it. It just needs to be translated. And I figured out how to do it. And yeah. So I just need to finish my academic book first, and then I can write the Fate book. And I have to figure out how I'm gonna market it, because traditional Fate fans probably will not like the book, and they'll probably say I'm doing it wrong, which is fine. Although I'm following the tradition of Achtung Cthulhu, Fate Achtung Cthulhu, and also Fate Eclipse Phase, so I think I'm still within there. I just have to figure out how to market it, you know. Traveler, the host absolutely doesn't have to open the switch. Apparently they do. Pope says Traveler is one of the few systems with depth of design options, and an acknowledgement that robots come in more designs as humanoid ammo and mobile trash can. True. Also, the Pope, so does GURPS. Also, the varying level of programming consciousness. Yep. Also, so does GURPS and Traveler have a lot in common. I will just note. I'm gonna stand up. I think maybe also Eclipse Phase. Bold as brass. As I was saying. What was I saying? You're the host. Sounds Eclipse Phasey too. Yep, Eclipse Phase, Traveler, GURPS, they all do robots pretty, like, well. I don't know what else does. There are probably a couple other things I could think of. Nothing like Spike's laser focus. Hey, hush your mouth, little man. Hey, Kai. When I met you the first time, you know what hit me? I will hesitate. I don't know. What struck me was, dude, are you gonna... Boy, dude, are you gonna pass out? That's the wrong voice. Alright, governor. Dude, are you gonna pass out? Oh dear. Only from hungry. Hey, fine, I'll get to the point. I just wanted to say, thank you. People have historically been a little weirded out by a tiny little community, and we've been struggling since old Nono got ill. But you arriving, well, there's just something in the air. Things are looking up. I'm gonna be humble. Wow, thanks. You've all been so welcoming. It's been a lot easier than it, could have been. Oh, you're so welcome. Eat. Well, Peck, we're nearly there. Well, that's Claire, different voice, sorry. Hey, let's get this party started. Eat up. Yes. So, you should see him, love. Once we get out of this conversation, we're gonna finish. Well, Peck, when he eats too much hot sauce, well, faints clean away. You a fan of the hot stuff? I don't know. At home, I do most of the cooking, so everything's exactly as spicy as I like. It's funny, I used to hate spicy food, but now I can't get enough of it. Seems like I already know something about this little one. She's pregnant, by the way. You want a kid someday? I'm like just a kid. I don't know. Maybe? I don't know. I guess. Got any admirers? I just got here. Someone back home, maybe? I'm gonna stay quiet. I just arrived. Bro Bear wants us to get out of here, you know. Move away, settle somewhere in the suburbs. Real civilization, he calls it. White picket the lot. Of course, he'd still be sailing the seven seas or whatever. Things would be the same for him. Except I'd be surrounded by a fence. Hey, Bo Peck, pass the hot sauce. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer. By the way, in my Traveler game, I'm really excited for getting them to see some more aliens like the Hivers. I'm gonna reach Enter Prime and then head up to Max. That was before my time. You're much older than me. Much older than me. Hey, I mean before my time in Mutazione, you know? When was it you arrived? 25 years ago in the summer. It was the first really hot day. Well, we can add mighty fine memory to that list of your attributes. Hey! I think... Claire would have been 15. Oh my. Well, That was 12 years before that. Then it was 12 years before that. 36 years ago, Nono arrived. I was a sprightly 38. So much time. Ooh, felt like summer forever. Dare say everything does to a 3-year-old. So many new friends. Oh, grubby hands on all their white coats. What is going on here? Any old time. We have to stay a little bit longer, but let me read chat. The variety in bots from the various tech levels of the world and species, also alien bots built by non-human species. I enjoy my hover-made valet bot with 5 appendages and the squishy, soft exterior. I love that about Traveler. Traveler is good. I'm going to read Max's, though. Max says, so, my Down Darker Trails game, they finally tried to capture the body-switched wizard they're after. He now knows he's being followed. I'm going to leave a trail to Olympia in case they continue to follow him. Then I'm going to drop a short scenario on them while they're there. Hopefully, they'll follow the false trail. Someone complained there aren't enough red herrings in my game, so here goes. You know, anything can be a red herring, if the players try hard enough. Kat, Maury told us Nono is doing a lot better. As his health really improved. Go on, Kai, tell them. He was sat up in the kitchen making tea. Indeed. That proves how deeply mind and body are connected. I do not know the voices for these people. We're working it out. It's obvious your arrival, Kai. We wanted to see you so much. I'm going to ask what caused his illness. What made him, get ill? Well, we're not completely sure. I don't know their voices. There were some events, quite a traumatic time. For all of us. We began to emerge from it perhaps a year later, but somehow Nono never surfaced. What kind of events? I have to know because I feel like this is really important. Enough sad talk. I call myself a host and yet I ain't out for no toast, huh? You're bored now, are you? I surely am. And he knows it. And something to wax lyrical about. One genuine chronic illness miracle recovery. So, I'm gonna raise my glass to that. To Kai. And to Nono. I'm going to stay for one more chat, because I feel like that'll be the end of our night. Oh. Or I can't. We don't need no beatboxer. Already play real drums. Oi, come on, help me out here. Oh, Peck. You make lovely drum noises, but you're going to have to be in your own band. You already have a band, okay? My own band? Yeah, sure. You can be our support act. Sorted. Hey, the food was really tasty, but I think I'm gonna go stretch my legs and also end the stream. That's okay. I'm getting sleepy. Sat here full of food. Oh, you sure, Jitterbug? Give the girl some peace. We'll be here afterward. Come chill if you want. Hung and I are hatching some plan. Sure, thanks, I will. But it's night and I've got to, end the stream now. That's what I got to do. You know what I mean. So, okay, fine. It was loads of fun. The food was great. It was nice to see everyone together. Plus, I think I finally remember everybody's name, though not their accent, obviously. I guess I should report back to Grandpa about the barbecue. Hung and Mew said to find them after the barbecue. Hey, that is, by the way, that's us. So, everyone, I did it. I'm done. But I'm going to read what Max says. Ran a Traveler New Era scenario called Strange Lights over Hokum, about a planet that was cut off from everyone else and only export was monster movies. Oh, I love that. Hivers came to the planet to trade. I used the Chicken Little saucers for the Hiver ship. Love it. And the people flipped out thinking it was an invasion by bug-eyed monsters. Good times. Love that. I will indeed. I will indeed. Rissa, I need to tell you something. Amazing focus. Um, Look, I think we might have almost finished day two. Like, we're almost done with day two. I'm pretty proud of myself. This game is not that long, theoretically. And heck, maybe we'll finish it before I leave. That would be cool. We will see. Um, I'm gonna say that Robin Law says that crunch favors the player because the more defined things are, the more the players have agency. They know exactly what they can do and what they can't do. The less defined things are, the more it puts power in the hands of the GM to make adjudications. And if you are brand new, you may not know how to do that, so it can be kind of difficult. There's like a look. The thing is, bad crunch is not good because it's clunky and it's difficult. Good crunch is great because it's elegant, but also bad rules light games are also not great because then you don't know what you're doing. And good rules light games are really good. I think that people at the moment are like, "Oh, crunch is bad and light is good," but it's really about the quality of the rules. Are the rules well done? I think you can do a well done game that's full of crunch and a well done game that has no crunch. And yes, that's what I'm going to say. Mage first said was hard. Huzzah. What of over crunch or under crunch, I guess, right? Um, And I think the question is it well done, right? If it's elegant, then it's not bad. Fortune favors the prepared GM. Yes, of course, different kinds of preparation. All right, so the name, I have something to tell you. The name game. Ah, come on, everybody. Patreon. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Rissa, 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 Bobissa, Banana, Fana, Fofissa, Fee, Fi, Mo, Missa. Rissa, the name game. Woo, thank you for that resub. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, let's see. Where are we at here for a second? Rules Light had a terrible time with saying no when needed, so the game scaled up in power fast. They had fun though. Yeah, I could think it's important to kind of like figure out like sometimes. So this is what I'm going to tell you. Thank you for being here. Let me tell you where you can find me next and what's what and where's where. So first things first. Tomorrow. There's no Critical Role tonight, so I'm going to be working on game stuff. Tomorrow is the Microscope finale with PB Plays Inside and Bill the Forest and Prax and myself, and we're going to find out. We're going to sort of finish up a full round of Microscope Chronicle, the new second edition Kickstarter. Then let me see what else. Okay, then Saturday, right? I'll be playing Heaven's Vault at noon. Okay, now let's talk about next week. Next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, on theoretically my channel, so Tripper SJP, Laugh Love Lindy, Wandering DM, and also High Shelf Collective. I'm working on right now making a tech guide for that, and so Wednesday is the reveal show, which will be alpha reveal. We're going to reveal the entire season and what the structure of the season is going to be like and how it works and what we're doing and what it's about. That's going to be on Wednesday. It is also a tech rehearsal where we're going to be trying out co-streaming for the first time, and I'm putting together the OBS scene and putting a guide and exporting it, making a guide together so that all the other GMs can import and figure out how to do that. So that's going to be so it's gonna be our tech rehearsal on Wednesday. So please come by to see the tech rehearsal for Role Play Reflect, a brand new show that I've been working on, and Lindy and Simon and I have been working on this for a long time. Oh, you'll be in a Regions Cthulhu, but that's okay because I've got more for you. Um, yeah, it's so much hype, right? And so that's going to be on Wednesday. Thursday will be more Mutazione. Friday, now please note, I may cancel Thursday. We shall see, because Friday is going to be the season premiere of season 7 of Traveler, and sometimes I've got a bunch to do for that, and so we will see whether or not it is up in the air whether or not I will be streaming on Thursday. I may be doing stream prep. We shall see. But so Mutazione, maybe if all goes well, on Thursday will be happening. We will see. The odds are good, but just in case I need to do more prep, that will be then Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern will be the season 7 premiere of Traveler, The Gamblers, our Traveler Pirates of Dryanex campaign. With we will have the core. We'll have Rocket and Myth and Greg and Lindy, all 4 of them here for season 7. There'll be surprises and all that, so watch out for that. And then Saturday at noon Eastern will be Heaven's no, 1. I'm so sorry. Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I push it off an hour because I don't want to start streaming at 9 in the morning, but 10 in the morning works. So 1 p.m. Eastern over on my channel will be Heaven's Vault, which we're grooving on. It's very good times. Good times, good times. And then Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on all 4 of those channels, mine, Lindy's, Wandering DMs, and High Shelf Collective, will be the premiere episode of the first cycle of Role Play Reflect, which will be GM'd by Laugh Love Lindy, and it will be The Expanse. It will be 4 sessions starting this coming, starting the Sunday of next week. So you should, and if you, we're going to reveal who the guest player is for that 4 episode cycle on Wednesday, but also the advertising is going to go out, so you'll see it then as well after the hype show. So that is going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So next week will be a full streaming week, and come and be there for it. It's going to be really exciting. I've got so much to tell you about, and I'm just very excited. And let me see, what else can I tell you? That's like the big stuff. So, I've got things to get ready. I've got things to get ready. Got things to do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We will get there. Okay. The next thing I want to tell you was I have good news. The good news is Patreon now will host videos. So before you would have to put the videos on YouTube and then like you'd link it, but Patreon now hosts videos itself. So the music and civil rights fundraiser that I did, that 4-hour lecture, I have put it up on Patreon. I've not made it go live yet, but it will now be available again for people. I'm going to put it behind the Patreon paywall. I don't tend to do that with most things. Just like little things I do that for, like the big AARs, I don't put behind the paywall. That I'm going to put behind the paywall because I think if it's behind a paywall, it'll be safer from the prying eyes of DMCA takedowns. So when I put out the after action report for the last bit of time, which is, I'm working on that right now, which is going to go out before the start of the next season. So expect to see it, probably sometime this coming week before the Gamblers, and it's going to cover, it's covering like a huge stretch of time, sort of. I did a State of the Foxhole around the New Year, so there wasn't AAR covering the New Year because I did it live, but I am going to, so this AR is going to actually cover the entire, it's it's like a 2-year span, a little bit less than a 2-year span that this AR is covering, even though we did it kind of live. But that's coming out this coming week, and I'll give you all, have a lot of, that's not behind a paywall, but that's what's happening there. So I'm really excited to say that I can get that going, and we'll see how that works out. And you can find me here on Trooper SJP at Twitch, and then also on YouTube, Trooper SJP, also Blue Sky Trooper SJP, Fourth Wall, and Patreon are at Academic Foxhole, and the Patreon goes to support, as does uh, the fourth wall to support basically paying casts and commissions, art commissions. So that's all of that. Find us on our Discord. We've got a lot happening, and I'm hoping I can get a little bit more done right before we start. But it's going to be a pretty heavy week for me getting ready for streams, and if I can get everything that I want done, it's going to be awesome. And then I that's what I have to say. So, my friends, take care of yourselves. You are amazing. I'm going to see who's we're going to do a raid though. We're going to do a raid to see who's up to give love to those folks. Um, who is up? I feel like there are people who are up and about. I believe. Uh, okay, so here's what's what. We are going to go and street. We're going to raid PB Plays Inside because PB Plays Inside is doing prep for the game Asher's Ridge, which is um, a two-shot that I'll be playing with PB Plays Inside and Other Doc in October. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's raid, and don't forget our raid message. And we're going to give love to be PB Plays Inside, and also, please note, I am going to then make dinner. So we're going to start our raid. Everybody, thank you so much for being here and for being awesome and chatting with me. And we've got more things to talk about, and we will talk about those things later. So until next time, I will catch you on the flip side, everybody. Bye.